right, welcome on in to another episode of DCU Daily on Oh So Curious. It's going to be a good one today. We got lots to dive into. We weren't live yesterday, so I had to kind of piece together all the big news from a day ago, and there's some good stuff. Of course, Project Hail Mary, we're going to talk about, is coming back to IMAX soon. Michael, the box office, the early tracking has hit the charts, and it's big. And of course, even bigger than that is Super Mario Galaxy at the box office. So we'll talk about all of that. Have you noticed that movies are getting longer than they used to be at the movie theaters? Well, you're not imagining it. So we'll talk about that too. There is an update because regarding Cinema United, the folks that put up CinemaCon that's happening in a few weeks' time. They are taking a page out of Paramount's book, and much like David Ellison likes to send letters of persuasion, Cinema United is doing a bit of that today or this week. We'll talk about that, what that means for the Warner Brothers Paramount merger, and maybe the potential for it to not happen. And of course, as always, we've got DCU Daily. We've got more Supergirl talk. We're talking about the Batman. We might actually, I'm not sure this is gonna ultimately be it, but we may have a better idea of what the title of the movie, but also the villains in the movie is going to be. And of course, today, we didn't get to do it yesterday, so we are doing it today. In fact, that's where we will begin the show. We're going to switch things up a little bit. Instead of going with the news, we're going to kick things off with the hot take debate. So let's dive into it right now. And I've got your hot takes, and I'll get into those with you in a minute.
Who is that?
Retarded.
Retired. I'm already in the void. I'm not trying to get canceled again.
I don't like you.
And when you take on the responsibility, great power will come.
Chicks dig the car.
This is why Superman works alone.
Black rubber.
Ooh, you nasty, mon beauté rouge. Les éléments temps relais, hein?
Not a single word.
You bring your scarred psyche.
I'm about to make a name for myself here.
Pathetic. Psychopath. Thank you for attention. You were just leaving. Oh, no,
All right, okay. Well, welcome on in. It's time to get into the hot take debate. It's a packed show. We got Monique in the chat. Tony was here earlier. Happy Good Friday. And of course, happy Easter Passover to anybody who celebrates. I know, Tony, you had to leave because we were getting started way late tonight, but that's okay. Hope you catch us later. We got Monique, I mentioned already, and then Honka Honka Caleb in the chat. So, what do I know? Do I know anything? What does he know? I don't know. What do you mean by does he know, Caleb? John will be here later. We'll see how that goes. But you know what? I asked for the hot takes, and you guys definitely came in strong with quite a few of them. So I pulled in pretty much as many as I could, and there were a few. So let me see if I can load them in for us. And then, of course, after that, we're going to do the news segment, which we usually start off with. So if you guys are tuning in and it's a little confusing, there's a bit of a last-minute change. I figured I'd kind of reverse the order of events. So with that in mind, let's get into those hot takes, shall we? So we got 7 hot takes today. And of those 7 hot takes, the very first one comes to us from Johnny Rico, who said, Supergirl's gonna do better at the box office than Superman. Interesting hot take. That is an interesting hot take. Here's what I'll say to that. It's tricky. It's tricky. It's a hot take. I'll give it to you. That's definitely a hot one. Does he? Okay, I see what you were going for, Caleb. Steven is here. Dan, I'll warm you in my arms and melt your fears away. Show you all the magic that a perfect love can make you need you, or make you need night and day, I'm sure is what you meant to say. All right, well, thank you for that little diversion. But look, I think it's you're not off the mark there, Johnny. It is kind of hard. I mean, look, if I were to bet money on it right now, I'm gonna say Superman still ends up with the bigger box office take at the end of the day. I know we were all doing predictions, and we still are. Like, if you haven't given us your box office prediction for Supergirl, be sure to send those in. And I think most of us gave numbers that were either well short or just about short of where Superman ended up being. Most of what we're looking at anywhere between 300 million to 500. I think one more person maybe said 500 to 600 million. And the reason I say that, by the way, hello,
Supergirl
John.
ain't
How are
doing
you
better
doing?
than Superman, just saying.
Fair enough. So there's John's take. I basically let me get into my argument in a second. Caleb saying there's just no way Supergirl will ever do better than Superman, even if the great film is great. I doubt the character is big enough to make $1 billion, let alone more than Superman. You know, nobody said anything about $1 billion because Superman didn't make $1 billion, didn't even get close. So I don't think, to qualify Johnny's hot take as a hot take, we would need to worry about that. But I'm just gonna give you guys a quick preview. I mean, I know you're not looking at this, but I've got this list in front of me. In June the 5th, we get Masters of the Universe. That comes out a good 3 weeks before Supergirl. Then we get Disclosure Day, which comes out 2 weeks before Supergirl. Then the week before Supergirl, we get Toy Story 5. Now, the weekend of Supergirl, we also get the 5th Jackass movie, which pretty much is counter-programming. Nobody really cares. It's not gonna it's not gonna like dig into the audience of Supergirl, so that's fine. But then the week after Supergirl, we get Minions and Monsters. Don't underestimate Minions and Monsters, because that movie is part of like what, a $5-6 billion franchise. Literally every movie in that franchise, within counts the Minions and Despicable Me, average altogether. Not like every single movie has made $1 billion, but they average $1 billion altogether. So there's a pretty good chance releasing, in that prime July spot that it goes on to make $1 billion. So that would be a big one. Then the week after, we get Moana live action. So, and then you get the Odyssey.
The thing is, I was going to mention that.
Yeah.
It's even more cramped than with Superman. I mean, Superman just had
Superman
Fantastic
came
Four
out
and
late
Jurassic
July.
World to deal with. This has
and
17
World
other
came out before.
franchises to deal with, more popular ones too.
Yeah, I mean, it's the fact is that Supergirl comes out. Like, here's the thing though, the summer box office has enough money to go around, so I don't imagine it'd be a situation where Supergirl's gonna be dead on arrival or like is gonna fall off a cliff after its first week. Now, here's the thing: it needs to be a good movie to have staying power, which basically, because the thing is, you got to remember, I know we're living in a post-pandemic world and it's different, but back in the day, like, for example, in the heyday of the MCU, I remember going to see Captain America the Winter Soldier and Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, the same year. And I mean, there were plenty of other big movies that year too, including, I think, the Guardians came out in the summertime, actually, middle of the summer. Captain America came out earlier, like, kicking off the summer box office season, kind of like what we're getting to now in April to May. So I think there's enough room there for Supergirl to make money. Is it going to make more than Superman, which I believe Superman's final tally sits somewhere above 600 some odd million dollars, right? Let me see if I can quickly verify that information. Its final tally is somewhere around 620. I know it changed up a little bit recently. Okay, yeah, so it's around 618.7 million. That's really where it's at. And that number had been fluctuating a little bit because they were still tabulating all the international tallies, because it's kind of hard to make an accurate assessment when you're trying to pull in numbers from 100 odd countries. So that number was still changing until recently. So it settled in right around 620, around 618, 619. So hello D-Cole, we'll definitely be getting to that later. But hello Retro Edits, do I think that Supergirl gets close to that 619 million that Superman made? I personally don't think it will. It will probably. I'm thinking. Look, I think the new trailer is great, and if they do a perfect job in marketing the movie, and the movie itself is great, people love it, the critics love it. I think 500 is feasible. 600 would be like popping bottles. We made as much money as Superman, or more or less. I don't I think, for the sake of this hot take, it doesn't need to beat Superman. Even if it gets anywhere close to 600, we'd be like popping. I mean, one of us will be popping bottles. So, hey, Movie Spud. But Black Adam made actually over 400 million. It was almost 500 million. I think that's probably.
It made $393 million, which is a really good number.
Yeah.
Considering what because the thing is about Black Adam, the reason that movie was either not profitable or barely profitable is because that movie at most cost $260 million. That was in development for a while, hence why, you know, Superman Returns was not profitable, because they added on the budget of the Nick Cage Superman movie that never happened, in addition to Superman Flyby. So they added all of that to Superman Returns, hence why it wasn't profitable. I mean, Black Adam had been, like, literally, I remember this too. Dwayne Johnson got cast in 2007 for Black Adam, and the movie came out 15 years later. And so there was a lot of development, you know, Rock trying to get it off the ground, you know, then the DCEU happened, all that shit. So they tried to make it work, then Shazam happened. So there was all that. The thing is, if you apply the $393 million that Black Adam made to Supergirl, that's a really good number, because the parent budget is around $100 million. Marketing is maybe another $25 to $50 million. Let's be like over budgeting and say $150 million. That is still over double the profit. That's still pretty damn good. Is it the greatest thing ever? No, but it's still profitable. So that is saying a lot. And I think it could make Black Adam money, but the difference is Supergirl would actually be profitable in this case, because the budget would be less. So you got to think about that as well.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, profitability is one thing. I think Johnny was referring to more like, well, it's just a straight up comparison. It's a good hot take. I think most people will. I think people at Warner Brothers. I think James Gunn himself, if you really give him the truth serum, he would probably tell you that no, I don't think Supergirl is going to make more money. The fact that they spent less money making it is an indicator of their expectations. Now, nobody expected Joker to make $1 billion.
I don't want to say lesser character, but she's not as popular. She's not a popular character. She's made a lot of live action appearances, which does help, like with her own movie in the 80s, which did not do well. Then you had, you know, her appearances on Smallville, but that was not her show. Then she had her own show, which was pretty much not good past season 1. And then you had Sasha Calle's Supergirl, who was in The Flash, which was also not very good. So Supergirl has... the time has not been kind to Supergirl in terms of live action.
It's all good, but like as far as what Retroedits were saying, look, there's been some good reporting, reliable sources talking about it's closer to 100 million than to like the 150 million mark. I mean, nobody knows the official number, so we can't really guess for sure.
We don't know the number.
Based on the movie and well, the stuff you've seen so far, the marketing campaign they're gonna put into, you know, putting behind it, they're gonna be probably somewhere around 150 million or more, all in with marketing and production budget anyway. So your break-even point.
But you did have her own show only like 10 years ago.
Yeah. So like Supergirl, like the break-even point would need to be somewhere past 300 million. So I think all of us can expect it to do. It's got to do at least that much, right? Despite all the competition, because like I said, you got, you know, on one end of it it's got Minions. So it's gonna, the week before it's got Toy Story 5. The week after it is Minions and Monsters, and then you got the Moana live action remake 2 weeks, you know, after it comes out. Then you got the Odyssey. I feel like it's got, until the Odyssey comes out, Supergirl can make plenty of money. And at that point, I think once the Odyssey comes out, July 17th, at that point, you're looking at then a 2 week from there is Spider-Man Brand New Day. Until Spider-Man Brand New Day comes out, I think Supergirl can stay in the top 5, or, you know, definitely, you know, if especially if it's really good, it could stay, you know, possibly within the top 3 as well. That's probably being optimistic, but I mean, ultimately, I think Warner Brothers would be happy with anything over 300. It breaks even. They would want to have good reviews over a huge over a disappointing box office. So, is it gonna make the 600 some odd million? Most likely not. That Superman did. Is it gonna get close? Probably not, considering the competition. So that's why I think this is a great hot take. So let's move on from this one, because now we gotta get into our Acres of Movies hot take, which kind of broke my heart. Acres, like, why are you doing this to us, Stacy? Project Hail Mary will get no main Oscar nominations. Now, Acres of Movies, or, you know, better known as Stacy, I wonder what you mean by main Oscar nominations. I think
they mean like acting, directing,
six,
writing, best picture. I think that's what they mean.
Yeah, because like usually the Oscars, the main nomination is they call it like the big six. You have the best director, best picture. You have the four acting categories, the two leads, and then the two supporting. So you're saying Project Hail Mary will get no Oscar nominees? That's a hot take because I think Ryan Gosling is pretty much guaranteed a lead actor nominee at this point. Obviously, things can change, but like last year we were talking about it for Sinners. We live in a world now where the Academy doesn't the Academy doesn't have the goldfish memory that it used to have, where Everything Everywhere All at Once, Parasite, less so Parasite, but especially Everything Everywhere All at Once, and Sinners. Both of those movies, two huge winners recently, came out very early in the year, right around the time, like in March, where Project Hail Mary came out. And they were considered great movies. Project Hail Mary also has a lot of cultural cachet. So did Everything Everywhere All at Once. So did Sinners. And going back, even Parasite, to a slightly lesser degree. But I think it's going to get at least one, if not two. It's most likely going to get a Best Picture nomination. It's most likely going to get Ryan Gosling a lead actor nomination. I don't think you can really give James Ortiz, a supporting character. Maybe it would be the first time ever like a voice acting role for like a supporting character so that's
I could see
not
Sandra
gonna
Hüller
happen.
getting a nomination for supporting
Yeah.
actress.
Although usually what ends up happening with supporting actor categories is any movie that gets like a big snub in like the other bigger acting had like the two main lead acting categories, sometimes you get like the supporting actors. So there's plenty of movies yet to come out in the cycle, but I think Project Hail Mary is a safe bet for lead actor with Ryan Gosling and Best Picture at the very least. Lord and Miller for Best
It'll
Director
fill
is
the
less
crowd-pleasing prestige blockbuster. Because
At
they
the
don't
very
nominate
least.
superhero movies, but they
Yes.
do nominate things like, F1, Top Gun, Mad Max Fury Road. Those kind of movies where like, oh, a lot of people like this.
Right.
Let's
Avatar, the
have
first
it.
one. It's a situation where I look at it as the ceiling for Project Hail Mary is that it's going to become like a awards darling in some way, where it wins several major categories. The floor is it's the pop culture nominee, like John just mentioned, like F1 was this past year. F1 actually won a couple of things too. I think best VFX is something that it could win for.
VFX went to something else.
No,
but,
I'm talking about Project Hail Mary. I mean, F1 won Best
yeah.
Sound. Best sound. I mean, the score was pretty amazing from Daniel Pemberton. But that being, I mean, it's too early to again make those predictions.
Cinematography could definitely be for Greg Fraser.
We'll talk about the cinematography and the VFX for Project Hail Mary later in the show, and I think it's worth mentioning. Like when I mean, there's evidence now, like that they've shared of like they didn't do green screens and blue screens. They kind of went more the direction of what Denis Villeneuve has been doing with Dune movies. Like when they want to composite some kind of like element on do a plate background plate and then other elements to throw on top of it. There's more ways to do it now than with blue screens and green screens, so they kind of went about that differently. To Movie Spot's point, as far as Project Hail Mary goes, look, like with Sinners, like with Everything Everywhere All at Once, movie studios, when they put their money where their mouth is with promoting for a movie for your consideration, even if it comes out early in the year, especially now with IMAX, we'll talk about this later as well. We saw Sinners like not get one but get two re-releases in IMAX, one of them being in the awards season, and then they put up a huge for your consideration campaign. Warner Brothers did. I think Amazon looks at this movie as probably its best shot at awards consideration next year right now. I'm sure they have a full calendar of movies this year, but Masters of the Universe is likely not going to be one that's going to draw a lot of awards attention. So that's why I think Project Hail Mary will get some nominees, especially probably in the big six, one or two. Even if it doesn't get the best actor for Ryan Gosling, it's going to get a Best Picture nominee. I mean, there's 10 spots. Like, you can't tell me it's not going to get one of them. And yeah, I bet you Movie Spud, Amazon MGM is going to promote the shit out of it, because this is probably their best shot at it too. It just is. I mean, they're certainly not going to do it with mercy. So steak egg sounds delicious, Steven. But let's keep on going. That is a hot take. Stacy, thank you for your hot take. Monique with a hot take. Monique, I don't know if you're still in the chat, but here we go. Your hot take was that Disney should do a live action remake of Black Cauldron instead of Snow White, Moana, etc. Okay.
The difference is,
John, what do you think?
the difference is, Black Cauldron didn't make money. The reason that live action remakes happen is because those movies made money, and so they guarantee want to make money again. Because like, even though there are movies that would be great in live action that could cater to the idea of live action and would be very good, they didn't make money. So they're like, why would we remake something that is not guaranteed millions of dollars? Now, they have made riskier moves, like with Snow White, because that wasn't a guarantee, because Snow White is a much older Disney film, and then there was the controversy and all that. So that wasn't guaranteed, but Lilo and Stitch, that was a guarantee. That was absolutely a guarantee. So, so Moana, that's probably going to make $1 billion. There's Tangled, the upcoming Tangled, that's probably going to make, I don't know if it'll make $1 billion, but it'll definitely be like 800 million probably. Why? Because those movies made money. And then you have the parents that were like, I don't want to deal with my kid for 2 hours, so like, here, we'll go to a movie so you can shut up for 2 hours so I don't have to deal with you, because that's like what parenting is nowadays. So there's that. And then, but you also have like the millennials that saw Tangled when they were younger, so like, oh, I'm gonna show my kid this new version, and boom,
Yeah.
there we go. And so it's guaranteed. Black Cauldron, Atlantis, Treasure Planet, those are not guarantees because they were box office bombs. So why would they, even though it makes sense to remake a movie that bombed, because then you could improve upon it if there is improvements or not, who knows? But like, that makes sense, but not in terms of Disney making money. So it is a hot take because it will never happen, even though I do think that Black Cauldron should get remade. I don't think Disney has the rights anymore, because it's based on a book series. I would love to see get the, Percy Jackson treatment readapted, either live action or animation, and have it be a show, because I believe there's 5 books, I want to say. So like, do what the Harry Potter's doing and Percy Jackson and just make a book a season, and boom, there we go. That's the thing to do now. So
It's just kind of weird because I don't really, I mean, Disney Plus doesn't really have the identity beyond it being like the place where you watch all your Disney stuff. Like they tried to do that for a while. I mean, you have MCU. It's kind of, I mean, there's enough of a built-in audience for Disney stuff that if you were to like make it into a TV show, I think it would thrive on Disney Plus. Is it going to bring a lot of new fans in who aren't already super Disney fans? Probably not, which is the one reason why I believe it might not happen, because ultimately that's kind of the, what streamers are really looking for. But then again, if they're having a slow creative rut, they might just want a show that fills the gaps. It could be that. But I mean, what was that show that they did, the Lucasfilm one, Willow, that
yeah,
died
that
a
nobody
slow-
cared about, and then it got
slow death,
yeeted
yeah.
from existence.
Yeah. I feel like Black Cauldron might suffer a similar fate. But then again, you never know. It takes the right person with the right idea, To your point about Amazon doing everything but making a James Bond series and movie retro edits, Brian Cox currently hosts a reality competition series about Bond that is on Amazon Prime Video. They have made multiple documentaries. They even licensed a couple. And then, between MGM Plus and Amazon Prime, it's all the stuff distributed. And then Denis Villeneuve, even while working on Dune Part 3, has been working with, who are the 2 producers? Remind me again. It's like, was it Amy Pascal was one of them? Or am I thinking of the wrong person? There's like 2 producers. One of them is the one who really led the way on the Harry Potter movies back in the day at Warner Brothers. And I forget the other one. So it's like, I thought it was Amy Pascal. Maybe it is. But there's 2 main producers who have assembled a team who are in the UK prepping and working on a lot of the other elements. Because you got to put the infrastructure up around it. And Denis Villeneuve has been consulting and been involved, but he's still busy with Dune Part 3. But the goal here is that, they're going to get into like the meat of the casting process of Bond next year once Dune Part 3 is in the rearview mirror. And for Amazon, here's the thing. And I know, like, I agree. Okay, so it is Amy and David, right? David, there. What's his last name, Monique? I forget his last name. But I think the point that I was trying to make ultimately is Amazon, I just mentioned this the other day, Amazon MGM has set itself up to be a proper major studio with a 15-16 movie a year movie slate. They want to be like a Warner Brothers. They want to be like a Disney, a Universal. They've put the work in to do that. So Bond can't be like the one thing that they focus on. Bond is going to be, like the movie that leads the slate for the year that it comes out in. And then I think right now most people just want them to make a Bond movie and then expand from there. I think we talked about before, a lot of you guys didn't like the idea of like, oh, do 3 Bond movies, do 5 spin-offs, do character-specific solo movies, and do a TV show. I think we just want to see a good Bond movie first before they start building out, and that's been the case so far. Isn't it one of the Stephen Knights is involved with the writing of it as well?
Yes.
I think it's the one from the Peaky Blinders
Yes.
Franchise. So he gave an update that he's working on a script. So like they're working on it, right? It's just we don't get to hear about it because the next big thing we're going to hear about is the casting of Bond, which is probably not going to happen until next year. But this time next year we might know. So who knows? But we'll leave that there for now. David Heyman, thank you, David Heyman, huge part of the Harry Potter franchise. I agree. I think Henry Cavill could be a great Bond, although Henry Cavill disagrees with you because Henry Cavill himself thinks that he is a bit old for the role.
Yeah, they probably want somebody in their late 20s for the role, and he's
because what they don't want to have happen, because like the other thing about having somebody like a Henry Cavill in the Bond role now, who's in his 40s, is they're gonna run through a similar problem that they ran with Daniel Craig, because the older your lead actor is in a franchise,
look at Roger Moore. He started when he was like in his 50s.
No, it's fair, but like that was a different time. Movies are made differently today. Daniel Craig did a bunch of his stunts. No, the point I'm trying to make is Daniel Craig had 2, if not 3, major injuries over the course of like making those Bond movies, which significantly, not only do they set back the production timeline, but it cost the studio tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. That ultimately gets added to the to the break-even margin for your movie, which means that now you need to make a lot more money, otherwise you're not as profitable, even though with merchandise and everything, licensing and all the windowing opportunities beyond theatrical, they will make money. It just means you're in a situation where the break-even point is higher. So with an older actor these days, then Henry Cavill does some of his stunts, not everything, but we've seen him on the Highlander set and stuff, like they'll do some of those things. You just have a high propensity to get into injuries, but also Henry Cavill is a very busy man, and Daniel Craig got into like the other stuff, like the Knives Out stuff franchise, after Bond was mostly wrapped up. And I think what they want here is somebody who's younger. I don't know. I mean, Tom Holland is actually, in his 30s now, or about to hit his 30s? He's got to be in his 30s. So even Tom Holland isn't like, 20-something anymore. And he pitched an idea for a Bond movie that kind of got, denied before Amazon took over control. So I don't know, maybe with different people in charge, they might revisit the idea of Tom Holland being a Bond. But anyway, I think they're gonna go with a younger actor. I mean, Henry Cavill himself has said like he's old for this, so I don't know. Maybe if it was a one-off or a 2 or 3 movie thing potentially, but I think they want to do more than that. Yeah. Whoever they cast for Bond, people are not. Yeah, I mean, that's always been the case. It's always been the case. I mean, in the world of social media, it's always the case. Like there are always gonna be people mad about Batman casting, Bond casting, Superman castings, Harry Potter I mean, where Harry Potter less so, because it's kind of like it's still considered, at least on that front, it's still considered a little taboo to rage on a young kid being cast in the role. Thankfully, have you seen the latest Spider-Man trailer? Tom Holland grew up. That dude grew up. But anyway, let's keep going. Enterprising's got a hot take, John. Clayface will be as good as Weapons, or close to it, based on Mike Flanagan's script and Watkins' direction. Not really a hot take, I would say, but I don't know. Maybe you are a bigger Weapons fan than I am. So, like, do you think that's a bar then
that could be the case? Clear? I may be close to it. I don't think it'll be as good, but I think it'll be close to it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like personally, for me,
I agree. Base take.
I would say if that were the case, then Clayface is potentially gonna make a good ton of money. I really do hope so, because if it is as good as Weapons, then you know what? Then James Gunn and Peter Safran, and then of course also the people behind the movie itself, the director and the actors, Tom Rhys-Harris and stuff. I think they're gonna be in for a really, really pleasant surprise at the box office if it is as good as Weapons. They'll cast a Bond, says Movie Spud. People will whine and gripe. The movie will come out, maybe be great, and people will glaze the new Bond. Yeah, that's how it works. Oh, Ian Watkins. Okay. Nice. He direct. I mean,
Is it the one where the guy
Black
fucks the
Mirror?
pig head? Or that's a different one.
hello, just some geeky guy saying, "Hope you guys are feeling better." Yes, I am definitely feeling better. John, I
That
think
might be the
you're feeling?
possibility.
Yeah.
I could see it.
So, do you think Reeves is adapting Dark Victory now that Two-Face is in the sequel? Good
I
question.
could see it. I could see it.
Well, we're gonna address that a little bit more because I mean we're gonna talk about the production title for the movie later for the Batman Part 2. But yeah, I mean we'll bring that comment back in to talk about that. Right, the director, Ian Watkins is not the director. What's his name? Is it Ian Watkins? No, this is a different Watkins.
James Watkins.
James Watkins. Thank you, Caleb, for clarifying. For Clayface, that is. Snyder or Smith? Oh, Sith? Oh. I didn't see that, Stacy, but so I can't just speak to that. But anyway, let's keep going. Caleb Underwood's got a couple of hot takes for us. The first one is Doctor Sleep is better than The Shining, and I'm tired of pretending it's not. Also, it's Flanagan's best movie.
Take. I agree. Doctor Sleep is a billion times better than The Shining. The Shining is boring as fuck, not interesting, and funny at best. And I would dare say Doctor Sleep. I don't know. Doctor Sleep is up there. For me, in terms of movie, the best thing he's ever done is Haunting of Hill House. That's probably the best thing he's ever done. However, in terms of movies, it's a toss-up between Doctor Sleep and Gerald's Game. I really love Gerald's Game. I thought that was so good. So, although Midnight Mass is definitely up there. Oh, Midnight Mass or Hill House, one of the two in terms of miniseries. But in terms of movies, I would say it's between Doctor Sleep and Gerald's Game.
Okay. I mean, honestly, I don't have a strong opinion of this. I mean, I've not seen Doctor Sleep in a long time, and I saw The Shining recently. You know, not for the first time either. I've seen The Shining multiple times. I just have like a preference for The Shining because it's like, you know, is Jack Nicholson like going all Jack Nicholson on you? That is a hot take, Stacey. I think Michelle Pfeiffer still does a good job. Sending $2 because John trashed The Shining. Thank you, Just Some Geeky Guy. We do appreciate the super chat. Okay.
Caleb, I recommend Midnight Mass and Hill House. Fall of the House of Usher is also really good. Bly Manor is it's kind of iffy. It's okay. Midnight Club, okay. They're good, but they're not great. Hutch is also really great.
All right. Monique saying Doctor Sleep is not perfect, but the performances are mind-blowing. My God. Daredevil vs. Prada 2 will get a Best Picture nomination. That is a hot take, because as of right now, there's nothing that tells us why that would be the case, Stacy. It's very unlikely, so I'll call it. It's a good hot take. Caleb Underwood with another hot take. Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium is better than Willy Wonka.
No.
Yeah,
No.
I was going to say the same. No. Moving
Nope.
on. Thank you, Caleb, for the hot take. Good hot take. Oh, yo, homies. Ron is here. Hello. How are you doing today?
And they're
we will give you more
miniseries,
show
so you don't need to
recommendations.
watch like 10 seasons of it. Boom. Just a miniseries. There you go.
Awesome. All right. Well, M2G, I don't know if you're in the chat yet, but you know, we're glad that you sent us in this hot take. I kind of clipped it down a little bit because there were a couple other things you mentioned, but you were kind of like telling us about what we were talking about at the show at the time. No, Rain Man 2 coming soon is no, that's not happening, Stacy. But M2G's hot take was, for all the crap the multiverse saga has gotten, all of the movies and shows that actually feature the multiverse heavily were pretty good and successful, not including something that just had a post-credit scene like Marvel's, and Quantum Realm is not the multiverse. So then he lists out the movies that he's referring to in the multiverse that you know heavily featured the multiverse in the multiverse saga of the MCU, that being Avengers Endgame, which actually is not in the multiverse saga, Doctor Strange 2, Multiverse of Madness, Spider-Man 3, which I'm No Way Home. Was that technically
Spider-Man
the
3.
multiverse saga?
I think
Right,
they said
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
No, he says, well, he's referring to Spider-Man No Way Home, the third Tom Holland movie. Then Loki Season 1, Loki Season 2, which definitely, I mean, especially Season 2 was very much multiverse saga. Deadpool and Wolverine, Okay, definitely a multiverse saga. And the Fantastic Four, yeah, which is going to be a big part of the upcoming Avengers movies. To your point, okay, there's a couple of holes I can poke in this because Endgame is not part of the multiverse saga, although it kind of sets the foundation in some ways to what we got, especially in Ant-Man Quantumania, which, by the way, the quantum realm is very much part of the multiverse theory of the MCU. It's not quite how things work in real life, but it's the MCU. So, according to their rules, at least as far as we understand them, maybe or at least as far as the Russos pretend to understand them, the quantum realm is how they time travel using the devices that Tony makes in Endgame. So, the quantum realm is meant to be this pathway to the multiverse in the MCU.
No, he means
not the only one.
Quantumania. He means Quantumania.
Yeah, but dude, Quantumania was literally the multiverse. Like, they had like a million Kang variants at the end and stuff. It was.
He's not talking about post-credit scenes though.
Is that okay? But then also wasn't the okay. All right. Well, I guess if that's the case,
I agree with this because it's like
I don't know.
when it's actually being the thing it's called, it's good to varying degrees. Like Doctor Strange 2, it's good when it's being a Sam Raimi movie. I like Loki season 1. I like No Way Home. I like Fantastic Four. None of them are amazing movies, but they're better than some of the slop we've gotten that have nothing to do with the multiverse. So I kind of agree with this a little bit.
You know what? I can the way you put it, I can buy into it. I was just a little confused by the wording from MTG, but I mean, it's still a good hot take because I would still say like Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness was kind of a messy movie. Loki season 1 and 2, I agree, is some of the high points of the multiverse saga. Endgame is still not part of the multiverse saga. Deadpool and Wolverine, it doesn't really have. Let's be honest. Deadpool and Wolverine is the biggest impact it's going to have in the Avengers movies coming up to wrap up this saga. Is Deadpool and Wolverine will most likely show up, and the popularity of the characters like Channing Tatum's Gambit, because of that movie they're going to bring him in. So yes, it has an impact, but in and of itself, while that movie was technically part of the multiverse, it does I don't know, like it didn't really. It was a lot more for fan service than to kind of expand the story of the multiverse saga. Maybe. I guess I don't know. We haven't seen the new Avengers movie, so maybe some of the stuff they explained about how the multiverse works in Deadpool and Wolverine will become important. So it's kind of hard to tell because it feels like all of these things were set up to a payoff that we haven't gotten yet, But like you said, John, a lot of the stuff that heavily focused on the multiverse seemed to be some of their best work. But like, then you have all this other stuff that was clearly part of the whole quantity over quality problem they had for a while, where Moon Knight shit the bed, She-Hulk was really up and down. Most
I would say Moon Knight's more mixed. A lot of people liked it.
I loved it until look, I still thought the finale was good. I just thought they were going different places. To me, it's still like this is a low bar, and I don't include Daredevil in this because Daredevil is sort of a special case. It's like the new era of MCU on TV. But like that early era of MCU on Disney Plus, Moon Knight is probably still in my top 5. But like. I think there's a big drop off after WandaVision and Miss Marvel, and so but there's a gulf there. But good point, MTG. I think we can debate this one for a long time. So we move on from MTGs to I actually have a few from you guys in the live chat. Thank you for all the comments you guys sent us in on that post about hot takes. We do appreciate that. Always and forever. Those will help out the show, get the conversation going. So. Hot take about Rain Man 2 coming soon. Like I said before, probably not, although Caleb would love to see it. Then Ron had a hot take.
I don't know what the fuck that would be about, but sure.
Well, exactly. Well, Caleb will be there day 1. Ron saying Batman v Superman gets worse year by year. No, it does not.
I mean,
how can it get worse year by year just for existing?
I
don't agree with that at all, Ron. And I'm in the boat with Monique. BVS stays awesome. Come on, it's like, it's Martha. Like, it's the Martha moment. It's like, why did you say that name? It's his mother's name. Oh, Martha's not gonna die tonight. I'm a friend of your son's. Like, she with you? No, I thought she was with you. Like, come on now. Like, it's greatness personified. I'm being a little facetious, but it just by definition doesn't get worse by the year because it just exists. It's like saying, oh, Citizen Kane gets better by the year because it still exists. It's like, what is gonna happen? People are gonna like go to Doctor Strange and all of a sudden is gonna wipe the movie from existence and their collective memories? No. But thank you for trying, Ron, and thank you for playing. We do appreciate the hot take and keep them coming. So with that, we're gonna wrap up the You know what? I agree with you. Sean Penn's best performance is Walter Mitty. Caleb, agree with you on that. Well, movie spud, that's fair. It's a mixed bag. BVS is a mixed bag. I prefer the Ultimate Edition, but that's the end of the hot take debate. So you know what? We're gonna transition to what the show usually starts off with now. So let's bring in Ryan Gosling up in here, and let's all be enough, and then we'll dive into the news.
It doesn't seem to matter what I do. I'm always the number 2.
All right, mister, I need to paint my abs on to get nominated. You don't see Robert Downey doing that.
You're kidding.
Robert
You're
Downey.
kidding. I can't open the envelope without the...
Warner Brothers is heading back into the Matrix with a new movie in the works.
Wonder what other surprises are in store.
I want to be Bruce Wayne.
I like that. You're gonna love me.
There's the shot right there. That
Okay, we don't need to see chorus.
right there.
You look ridiculous. Well, not no more, he don't.
What, dude? I can barely understand you. Your accent's insane.
Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much. Oh, wow. Wow.
Okay, it's time for the news. Usually this is the first thing we do on the show, but we did the hot take debate earlier today, so here we go. Let's get into the news. With me today, of course, as you guys, if you have been watching this whole time, John. John, what are you most excited to talk about? How was your day today?
Not a great day. I couldn't get sleep last night because I took a nap yesterday, so then I took a nap today. I got sick, slept it off more, and yeah, not the best day, but you know, I try. But sometimes a bad day is good because then it'll make the best days even better. Because I'm gonna go be seeing Super Mario Galaxy tomorrow. Hopefully that lightens my spirits a bit. I know people are like, "Oh, it fucking sucks." Well, I'm like, you know what? Mario can be like, you know what? You can take this $1 billion movie and shove it up your ass because that's what it's gonna do. It's gonna make a billy. And with that, that's our first story to talk about, ladies and gents. Now that's what I call a fucking segue.
So Super Mario Galaxy movie, already in just this first couple of days. Now we don't have the Friday numbers yet as of when we're doing the show, but by Monday we will have the whole weekend. To me, this is beyond impressive. Like, the movie has made just about 60 million domestically alone from Wednesday to Thursday. It brought in like almost 25 million on Thursday. It did well, the other half of that number on Wednesday. The biggest Wednesday in April ever. In 2 days alone, like, you know, it's pulled in over 60 million internationally. Like I said, about 60 million domestically, which all look together totals out to 122 million worldwide. And it's not even Friday yet. I mean, it is Friday into Saturday now, but we don't have the Friday numbers yet. So, John, going into the weekend with Friday, Saturday, Sunday's numbers yet to come, $122 million start. Do you think this is going to go past that $375 million prediction that they were making for a worldwide box office?
It's already fucking like halfway there, pretty much. I wouldn't be
well,
shocked
it's
if
1/3 of the way there if you look at the high end of that
yeah,
number, but,
you know, fractions, they're fun.
Yeah.
But I think honestly, if I had I think it'll probably be just on Friday alone, it'll probably make it up to 200 million worldwide. So that's like most of the heavy lifting. And it
Yeah.
also helps that since it's Easter weekend, kids are off.
I mean,
Kids
dude,
are off
Monday.
Good Friday.
Like, 'cause
So
the thing is, like, it's gonna have a big Monday too. Not that like the weekend won't count the Monday numbers when we look at them on the Monday show. Like, it's gonna be Wednesday through Sunday. But given
it's a
that
1-2
Monday's-
punch.
it's a holiday.
Illumination was
basically
super
got a
smart
6
about
week-
this.
6 day week.
It has an extra 2 days with it being in April 1st. And then, you know, you have Good Friday, which you have more kids going to see it. Boom, they have off.
Mhm.
It's perfect.
Yep. No, it's gonna be it's gonna be bonkers. Like this movie, You're talking about like a movie that's gonna make $1 billion. Like this is pretty much guaranteed. Like I know Michael's coming out in a couple of weeks, but I don't think Super Mario Galaxy is going anywhere. Yeah, Monique agrees. 350, 375. It could go on the high end of that, maybe even higher. I am thinking right now. I'll put it down right now. We could be talking about this on Monday, looking at 380, 381 million over the course of the 5-day opening weekend. And you know, like you said, John, it's Easter holiday, Passover. Like people are able to go to the movies not just once, but maybe twice. Like you go and you love it with your kids. Your kids want to go again. Uh, Parents will do that, you know, and it's a long holiday weekend, and then Monday will be a day off for a lot of people too. So I can imagine that by Tuesday we might be looking at this movie already well on its way to 500 million. So you talk about $1 billion. This is looking more like one of those Disney movies where you're like, oh yeah, of course in 10 days it got like Lilo and Stitch, right? It was at like 750 some odd million in like 10 days or something like that. So yeah, not surprised about it, but it's still a very impressive start. So you know what? Let's go to the movie theater this weekend and watch some Mario. But you know what, John? If Mario doesn't do it for you, then there is probably what might be the greatest, you know, musical biopic in the making, at least at the box office, that's coming out in a couple of weeks' time. That is Michael, which, you know, Michael is starting something. All the headlines doing their very best to, you know, pick out one of Michael Jackson's songs and riff on it. The Michael Jackson musical biopic, it's set to open with a thrilling opening weekend, which actually, John, this is an early tracking number. We're, I think, 3 weeks out. That's when you first get these like long-term tracking numbers hit. Shikatoom, yeah, exactly. I think we can all agree that most of us are going to go see it day one, if not the early screening that week that takes place on Tuesday before it releases on Thursday for previews. But John, if you scroll down here in this article, they're talking about the current tracking 3 weeks out. They're looking at this is Lionsgate, by the way, releasing the movie domestically, and then internationally, Universal Pictures is distributing it. If you could stay in the top paragraph, it looks like it's going to be opening somewhere north of $60 million. I was looking at this number earlier in the day. They were looking at 55 to 60. They raised it now. And when you look at that number, 60 million plus will put it at the top of the pile in terms of musical biopic opening box office weekends. It's going to beat out 2015 Straight Outta Compton, which opened to 60 million. And then it's also going to beat out, of course, Bohemian Rhapsody, which opened to 51 million. Bohemian Rhapsody, I think, ultimately ended up with the highest box office gross of any musical biopic ever. But I don't think it was $1 billion movie. Michael, on the other hand, definitely looks like one of those. I've been into the comments for this article, and I'm sure that's not the only place you will find this kind of sentiment. But like Monique is saying, it's a printing press. It's going to make bank. John, I feel like this number might be underselling it a little bit because the movie comes out April 24th. It's 3 weeks away from, you know, Super Mario Galaxy, more or less. And they have it early, you know, Wednesday screenings as well for fans on the 22nd. And so for that weekend, those Wednesday screenings, like what they did with Superman, like with the Tuesday screenings, that number will count into the overall weekend. So basically coming out with the early screenings on Wednesday, which is not as many screens, but then Thursday into Sunday, late April, it's Michael. And people would have probably already seen, if you want to go see Super Mario, you would have probably seen it 2 or 3 times. And Lionsgate has the presentation at CinemaCon for Michael, like Monique is pointing out the week before. Also, a lot of distributors have already seen the movie and are really positive and high on this film. So, you know, the movie theaters are going to be promoting it. You're going to see the big standees and like the one sheets and everything in movie theaters when you walk in. John, as Movie Spot is asking, could this be the biggest musical biopic or just plain old biopic ever? And do you think that 60 million plus opening weekend prediction is a little low?
You know, it's I think that's a good amount. I think it'll be a slow crawl in terms of bigness, in terms of especially word of mouth as well, because I don't know, it's just like it's a biopic. It's not like gonna grab tons of people or anything like that, like immediately, you know. So I think it'll be like, I think that's a good opener, but it'll get to where it is like over like trepidation very slowly. I don't know if it'll make $1 billion, but I do think it'll make a lot of money, and it's definitely gonna. I mean, he was the celebrity's celebrity. I mean, that's what it was. I mean, he was the most famous man in the world for decades, so there's that as well.
Yeah. And also, Lionsgate has had a rough go of it the last little while, right? Like whether it was Megalopolis or all the other like PR nightmares they had. So, I mean, Johnny Rico's calling it right now $2 billion. By the way, Johnny, we had your hot take on the show earlier, so definitely go check that out if you haven't already. But yeah, I mean, $2 billion is probably a little bit of a high mark right now. But can it easily, get to $1 billion? I think that's more likely going to happen. So, I wouldn't be surprised if it opens to over 60 million opening weekend. I think a lot of people might think that it could maybe do 100 million plus easily. And this is early tracking, so these numbers could go up because the marketing will pick up quite a bit now as we get closer to it. So yeah, and I mean, Ron is saying it. There's a huge audience that grew up that knew Michael Jackson from the time when Michael Jackson was still topping charts. Like I remember when Michael Jackson was still like releasing new music, and I feel like I was on the tail end of his career in terms of my cultural memory. There's a lot more people out there. It's kind of like the Beatles. Dude, those Beatles movies are gonna be huge because there's still a huge audience out there that has firsthand memory of the Beatles. Not to mention, passed down the generations. Michael Jackson is the same thing, if not even bigger than Beatles. I mean, it's one movie versus 4, so you can concentrate all of that energy into going to see that one movie. So, yeah, I mean, $1 billion is probably in the scope of its long-term box office potential. Opening weekend, 60 million feels a little low. So we'll have to just wait and see. I mean, these numbers do change as we get closer to release. They're also not looking at a lot of pre-sales data yet right now, and then they're not looking at the social media chatter and stuff, and that kind of like presence and awareness. Usually they'll tabulate more of that the closer to the release date that we get. So right now, these early predictions, they're defined by data that will get more refined as we get closer, kind of like what we did with what happened with Superman last year, and we talked about how those numbers evolved as we got closer to the release of the movie. So let us know in the comments down below. Super Mario Galaxy, have we gone to see it? It's well on its way to making the 350 million plus opening weekend. And then Michael, do you think 60 million plus opening weekend is an undersell? Is it going to make 100 million maybe? That is the question, but let us know in the comments down below. We'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, we're gonna move on to some MovieTalk Madness, and it's gonna be a lot of madness today. But you know what? We begin, John, by talking about, of course, the Warner Brothers bidding. Did I just skip a segment? I did skip a segment. Never mind. We're talking about Warner Brothers bidding war. I guess we gotta talk about the dark ages before we get the dark times before we talk about the good times. So. You guys remember that Paramount has agreed to buy Warner Brothers. Netflix walked away. And we are well on our way to CinemaCon this year, which is run by Cinema United. That is the union of theater owners. They used to be called NATO, the National Association of Theater Owners. And, the other NATO still mattered. So then, they were like, we should probably change our name. So they're now called Cinema United. And John, it looks like Cinema United is taking their battle over the Paramount Warner Brothers Discovery merger to the Attorney General Associations, and their call to arms is this Main Street America that will suffer the most. Now, I'm going to give you a bit of a TLDR to this article. It's definitely going to make CinemaCon very interesting, Monique, because they mentioned it in this article. In just a couple of weeks, Cinema United executives, and who are the ones sending these letters out, will come face-to-face with David Ellison and co. Not to mention David Zaslav and co., who are going to be at CinemaCon, which is an event run by Cinema United. But these letters were sent to the Democratic Attorney General Association, the Republican Attorneys General Association, and to the National Association of Attorneys General, and basically calling on those organizations to thoroughly investigate and move to block this proposed merger to ensure it does not harm competition on our local communities. And basically what they were talking about is like, look, post Disney Fox merger, like from 2016 to 2025, we have had a 70% drop in the box office potential. Like billions of dollars have been lost along the way, like roughly $1 billion a year or more in reduced revenue, not to mention fewer movies being put out, because as much as Disney said at the time we were not going to lower the amount of movies, ultimately they had to do that because it just was hard for them to keep, putting out the same number of films once it was all under one umbrella. And so a lot of agents are wondering the same things, like, how is this going to work? That even if they do keep two, studio backlots, how are they going to produce 30 movies a year? And then the other thing that they were pointing out in these letters is that, and I think this is a good point, John, I want to get your opinion on this. Like, here's a key statistic they pointed out in their letter, the Cinema United letter, that according to their research, for every dollar that is spent in a local movie theater, an additional $1.50, additional $1.50. So basically, for every dollar spent at a movie theater in a local community, an additional $1.50 is spent in surrounding businesses in that community. That includes local restaurants, bars, shopping centers, transportation, and of course other local businesses. So their argument is, not only does this hurt the creative community, Hollywood, the talent community, but it also hurts Main Street, mom and pop shops and other businesses that are negatively affected when there's less foot traffic. And this merger, they're arguing, is going to help, force closures of theaters because there's going to be less movies to go around. And as a result of that, there'll be fewer theaters that'll be viable. And so all of these knock-on effects will mean that there'll be fewer places for people to go see movies, fewer people going to see movies, and therefore fewer people spending money on everything else that they spend money on, whether it's food or shopping in those communities where those theaters would no longer exist. What do you think about this argument that Cinema United is making? And then also, I mean, are you buying into the 30 movies a year promise at this point?
No, God, no. Maybe like, if this thing is still going like 20 years from now, maybe. But I think fucking Ellison is going to nuke both companies before that's even the case. So if this actually goes through, I could see maybe like 5-10 years and then both are up for auction again. Or one is up for auction, I don't know, but like, yeah.
I mean, whatever the combined entity is, probably, if that were the case, I will say,
or it's going to break up because monopoly laws, and maybe there will be something.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought it was like a really important number to point out, that for every dollar, the research shows that you spend at a local movie theater, people are spending an extra $1.50 at a nearby business, which makes sense. Like, if I go to see a movie, chances are I'm gonna like do something else after. Maybe I'll go to dinner after, or I'll.
Which is funny because for me, my closest theater, the only thing that's next to it is like a medical center, and that's it. It's like everything around it is like barren. It's in the middle of East Bumfuck nowhere. So like, I'm like, I can't do that even if I wanted to. So
I mean, yes. I mean, there's definitely theaters like that. So I'm not saying this is not a blanket argument, but there's obviously a lot of movie theaters, especially like the smaller ones, like the community ones. Like, I know, like where I am right now, there's a movie theater in town that's not like a big AMC or anything, and they're pretty small, and most of the people that work there go to this high school in town, and they're like not on the main street, but one of the main streets in town, and so a lot of small businesses around them. So when people go there, a lot of them might be just like, oh, we're just walking around town, getting groceries or shopping, or going to get lunch or dinner, and then we'll go see a movie, and so there'll be less of that happening potentially if those movie theaters are not there anymore, which is a good argument. But then also, John, speaking to that whole 30 movies a year question. Hi, May 8, how are you doing? There's this other article I wanted to kind of jump into, which is actually from a few weeks ago, but the Deadline did a great job of putting together a list here. If you go to the next article on Deadline, they actually have a chart that we can look at where they put together, counting the fourth quarter of this year and the entirety of 2027, the list of movies that Warner Brothers and Paramount have, currently dated between basically the 15-month period from October of this year till the end of 2027. So it's not technically one 12-month window like a calendar year 2027. It includes the last 3 months of this year 2026. You look at these dates. Now, I want to point out a couple of things here. Now, they've collated this list. This includes 27 movies. Now, 27 movies over 15 months is less than 30 movies over 12 months. But it's not all that far off. So I think the feasibility aspect in the short term is okay. And you look at this list here, John. I don't know if you can scroll, but you could see the ones that are highlighted in blue across the board are the ones where they actually have Paramount and Warner Brothers have moved to movies, going head to head. So you have like May 21st, you have Bad Fairies from Warner Brothers, and then Paramount is meant to release a movie that same day. And then, the 25th, you got, two untitled movies, one from Warner Brothers New Line, and then Paramount. And then, like, for example, that Tim Miller Keanu Reeves movie that comes out August 13, 2027, the same weekend as TMNT Mutant Mayhem Part 2, the Seth Rogen led TMNT movie. And if you scroll all the way up, John, even to like this year in 2026, they have a conflict because in November 13th, Ebenezer Scrooge, A Christmas Carol, the Johnny Depp movie, comes out the same day from Paramount as The Great Beyond from Warner Brothers. So the question here becomes, like, when you are two studios under the same company, like your sister studios, will Warner Brothers and Paramount be allowed to compete with each other? Are they going to need to complement each other's release schedules and not get in the way? Because, like, for example, with Disney, because Disney's a good analog, because like they bought Fox and now they have 20th Century Studios movies, but then they also have Marvel movies, and then Star Wars movies, hopefully more of. Then you have Disney animation movies, and like you have Pixar. You usually don't see them stepping on each other's toes. They usually spread them out just enough so that there's at least a 2 or 3 week gap, so that they don't cannibalize their own audience, or at least like they try to bring in as much money as they can. Now, of course, John, the other side of this argument would be, and I want to get your take on this, because like that's the one side of it. Like, is it gonna be a problem that like these kind of like conflicts are already there right now, and like there will be one company, if you go off of the current estimations, by 2027, and they have at least 3 or 4 conflicts just next year alone. The other side of the argument is this: we have had these gaps in the calendar since COVID. Like we talked about it last year, September to October, like sometimes February to March. There's like definitely parts of the year, like, and those aren't the only 2 examples either. Like January usually is pretty barren. You have these months and these windows in the year where there's not really a lot of movies coming out. So do you think, like, are they going to be able to like would compete with each other, or is it more likely going to be what Disney does, like spreading the goods? And then if they're going to do 30 movies a year, like, is there enough room for them to take advantage of, like, even if they were to take advantage of those, like, currently these barren wastelands on the movie calendar? And is that going to be enough to be like 30 movies? Because if you do the math, there's 52 weeks in a year. If you're releasing 30 movies, you have 30 weekends. That really leaves you with 22 weekends to play with in terms of how you space these out. How do you think that, does that math work for you?
Maybe, I don't know. I'm not really a business guy, but it just seems like I don't even think we're talking about gaps. We're not even talking about this, because it's just like we're just at a point of like, can you fucking get there? Like, can you make 30 movies a year? Like, that's the kind of the thing of like, because shit happens with all these. Like you could be like, oh yeah, we're getting Remain, whatever the fuck that is, and that doesn't get canceled. Or, shit happens, like half of this shit could get canceled. You don't know. Or it gets delayed. Or then it gets getting delayed, and then it gets cut. It's just, shit happens. We don't know if any of these movies are for sure coming out. So, I think it's just a matter of like the idea of like, once they're merged, and we're not talking about like this chart where it's like pre-merge. If we are talking post-merge and they can get there, then we can have this conversation, because then we can talk about the gaps, 30 movies a year, blah blah blah. And it's just simple as is. I'll believe it when I see it. Show me that you can fucking do 30 between these 2 companies if this goes through.
I mean,
because I don't believe it.
To that end, a lot of the agents and producers, and even like other rival executives, what they're pointing out, the agents are worried because they're like, we have one less place to sell our movies. Although, if Amazon is becoming a big studio, Amazon MGM, then you have another big. So you don't really go from 5 to 4. You kind of like, you take one away, but you add another one in the process. So hopefully will be just like a wash. But the other thing that they were talking about in this article, which I think is important to point out, the short term is going to be okay because Warner Brothers and Paramount have plans in place for this year and for next year, like 2027. So saying that they have 27 movies scheduled between the fourth quarter of this year and all of next year, is one thing, but you can't really take that and be like, oh yeah, so they can easily do 30 a year, like in 2028 onwards, because once they are the same company, like for example, Charles Rowan was asked at the PGA Awards, and this is the man who produced Oppenheimer, but also produced the Dark Knight movies for Christopher Nolan back in the Warner Brothers, days of Nolan. And he was saying, look, if you can deliver if you can deliver it on 30 movies a year and keep the two divisions separate, I'm not sure I can do that, says Charles. But if Ellison can do that, more power to him. The most important to me is making sure the theatrical experience is alive and well. He's promised to keep the theatrical experience alive. So to me, that makes me then wonder, okay, because like there's a lot of staffers at Warner Brothers who are wondering, like, are they really going to need two marketing and distribution divisions, even if they keep the two different lots separate? Like, and once you start looking at that, calculus, and it's like, if you're going to have one marketing division, even if it's consolidated, if you have one theatrical distribution division, can they handle 30 movies? I mean, you're going to need to pay off all this $80 billion of debt somehow. And then on the other side of it, you have some optimism where, like, for example, the producer of the Top Gun movie, I'm forgetting his name right now. God, he's
Jerry Bruckheimer?
Jerry Bruckheimer. Yeah, he's like one of the most successful, popular producers of all time. He was a little more, upbeat. He was like, look, I'm optimistic. Saying David loves movies, David Ellison, he's going to make a lot of movies. You just got to give him good scripts. Now, I don't think I share that, clear optimism, but it is certainly concerning, like you said, John, because whether it's people losing their jobs, which chances are will happen, there will be some consolidation of divisions. Then you talk about like 30 movies a year with 52 weekends. That's not a lot you can kind of put between, like, at most with some releases you might only have a week apart. Like one comes out this week and then there's another week, maybe 2 weeks apart at most. And I'm gonna suggest one quick solution that I want to get your opinion on this before we wrap up. By the way, hello, Smacky. I don't think, the challenge from Cinema United is going to ultimately cause the attorney generals to, they're already working on some kind of a court case, but like that legal challenge is not, I mean, if the DOJ challenging the AT&T merger to Warner Brothers didn't get stopped, and it got, ultimately AT&T ended up winning the case and putting it through, I think this merger would go through. My question to you would be this, actually my idea for maybe how Paramount, Warner Brothers could put 30 movies out in a year and make them work, and at the same time, somehow, keep the division separate, would be bring back the mid-budget, mid to lower budget Hollywood movie. Like, give us more Clayface movies, because like if you have a situation where where Paramount and Warner Brothers could create a Barbenheimer all by themselves, like they release a big, let's say they do another Barbie-like movie, because they, Mattel has got the taste for Hollywood now. They want to do more movies, right, with their properties. So if they do another Barbie-like movie that comes from Warner Brothers, and then Paramount, like maybe through Blumhouse or somebody, like not Blumhouse, but like the new, let's say the new horror label that they've got going with the guy who used to, I'm forgetting his name. He ran DC for a little while, then he went over to Paramount. Somebody will tell me in the chat, but like they've got like a horror movie from Paramount coming out that same weekend, and you've got a big Barbie-like movie from Warner Brothers. They can counter program themselves. That's 2 out of the 30 movies, but they come out the same weekend, and one of them is going to only cost you like $30-40 million preferably. Do you feel like that could work? Like that might be the way to go to get to the 30 movies a year idea, and then maybe that brings back like more rom-coms and more like these lower mid-tier budget movies that don't really exist these days. Possibly. Walter Hamada is who I was thinking of, by the way.
That's who I thought, but I was like, I don't know if that's the right.
No, he's like the one who runs. He's got a new horror label at Paramount, which, I mean, now you got New Line because that's where he started, but that's gonna be. So I don't know if that's gonna exist separately, because like now New Line will be under the same umbrella anyway. So you might as well bring him back to New Line. I don't know. I mean, that's what I would like to see. That I would like to see more comedies. I would like to see more rom-coms. I would like to see more like smaller like dramas. I mean, maybe that's how you force the people to like build an appetite. Or and if you give them long theatrical release windows, then that will force people to be like, oh, I'll wait till it comes to streaming. But I mean, are you gonna wait 2 months, 3 months? Like that's one way I
There
feel
are
like they can
people
figure
that
that
will
out.
wait that long because they're
Yeah,
like, I
then
really don't want to go to the theater.
well, I mean, but at that point, that's not those are the audience members you're chasing at that point because those people have just given up on the idea of theaters. I mean, they're
I think it
probably
should
like
be.
watching
This
it
is
via
how I think it should.
Netflix.
Well,
So
the ultimate, what it should have been is what it was 90 days in theaters.
right,
That's what it should be, I think.
I
But
think
like,
that's the threshold still, like for people to be like, okay, fine, I'll go see it in theaters. Because
yeah.
then there used to be a gap
So
after
I
that too.
think the
Yeah,
what I think it should be, and this is kind of a give or take. I think it should be 90 days in a theater. That's the minimum it should be in a theater. That should be like in law. That should be 90 days in a theater minimum, even if it's a stinker. Fucking stick it in there for 90 days. Then for 60 days, it should be on digital for $20, like that $20 like
whatever the price point
thing.
is, 25,
And
30.
then for like a month, have it be like pay like $6 and then have it be on streaming. That's what I like. Give it as much time as you can give, because there will be the people that will buy it for $6. Be like, okay, cool.
Right.
But that would be after 5 months of like
Right.
either being in a theater or being $20. Because there are some cheapskates that'll be like, you know what, fuck this,
No,
I'm
no,
not
you're
paying
not,
20
you're
bucks.
not wrong.
But there are people that will pirate it, but that's beside the point. We're not getting those, but we're gonna get the hoity-toity people that are on their moral high ground of like, oh, I don't pirate movies. So we're just talking about them. So that's what I think. I think like the ultimate goal should be 90 days minimum in a theater, then 60 days at $20.
I mean, that's how it
and
used
then
to be.
either on streaming, depending on how the
Yeah.
movie is, or $6 for a month and then on streaming. However, that's unlikely. That I don't think they'll ever
I mean, it's
agree to
hard
that. However,
to push that
I
these
think it should
days.
be at least 90
Yeah.
days until streaming. That should be the minimum of like 60 days in a theater, another 30 days for the $20, and then have it hit streaming. So that's probably the best case scenario we're ever going to get.
I think that's like if David Ellison is really serious about making this work and maximizing the value of the movies that he's going to be making and his company's going to be making, that is the way to go, because that's how it used to be. And by the way, the biggest example he pointed out to like understanding the value of windows, these release windows and like post theatrical windows, in terms of how do you maximize not only the money part but also just the IP potential to like build a long-term franchise. Because I think the biggest movie he's ever produced is Top Gun Maverick. Top Gun Maverick came out on May 27th, 2022, and it was in theaters for like a good 5-6 months. Of the last month or so of that, it was also available on digital. Then it came out on Blu-ray, and it didn't hit streaming till December 22nd, 2022. So if you do the math, May 27th to December 22nd, that's literally almost 7 months, a little less than 7 months, that it took Top Gun Maverick to arrive on Paramount Plus. Until then, you had to go see it on theaters. You had to buy it on Blu-ray or DVD. You had to stream it.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the physical
Apple,
release.
or like rent it on Amazon
Add that
Prime.
in there too.
Exactly. So I think the way Paramount handled, and Paramount and Skydance, mind you, handled Top Gun Maverick. If David Ellison is really serious, because this is the way to go. Like this is the way for them to truly maximize that. Like I can imagine if the Batman Part 3 comes out in, let's say, June of like 2020 or 2035, and then it doesn't hit streaming till January of 2036, then there's a lot more people, even the ones who are like, I'll just wait till it's on streaming, will eventually go see it, because like it's like it gets cheaper too the longer you're playing in theaters, and it's still theatrical, and then you just make more money. You make more money because the difference between being on streaming and any of those other platforms is each of those other platforms are a pay per view basis, minus if you buy it on Blu-ray, you buy it once, but that's why Blu-rays are more expensive than when you rent the movie or when you go see the movie in movie theaters. And then eventually you get to streaming, because once you get to streaming, anybody who has Paramount Plus or HBO Max or whatever streaming service you have, I mean, the calculus for how you account for what that what somebody watching that movie counts in terms of dollars and cents for what that movie made is much more abstract than when somebody simply pays $6 to rent it, or $30 to buy it, or $18 to go see it in movie theaters. So yeah, I mean, I think like that's the way they need to go ultimately. If they're going to realistically do 30 movies a year, I think they need to kind of bring back that really long release window and window it out before it gets to streaming. Because like Matt Damon pointed out recently when he was promoting the recent movie with Ben Affleck, that's really where you got all that money. And now movie studios have sort of decimated their own system that worked for decades. So, but hopefully David Ellison, I mean, I don't think he's watching the show, but I think like that's, like you said, John, it's the way to go. Anyway, you guys let us know in the comments what you think about it. Are you just tired about all this talk and you just want it to be over, or are you genuinely interested in the idea like, hey, if they're gonna be one company, Paramount, Warner Brothers, you might as well make the most of it. So let us know in the comments what you think. Right now we're going to move on, and now we're going to get into some movie talk madness. I kind of made the mistake earlier of kind of jumping over a segment, but John, the movie talk madness is where we get to talk about stuff that we all love, and that of course is Project Hail Mary, which we know now. The Wrap reporting on this, IMAX recently put out a bit of a press release, I think it was, and of course some of the outlets have picked it up, like the Wrap, saying that IMAX is going to bring Project Hail Mary back as a recurring character on their screens in the coming weeks. Basically what that means is that IMAX is going to bring Project Hail Mary back for not an exclusive IMAX screening window, but between the release of Super Mario Galaxy and then when we get to Michael, you're going to be able to see Project Hail Mary on IMAX screens here and there. They didn't really give us too many details in terms of like, oh, from this date to that date, but they're saying that you can expect to see, like, for example, even when The Mummy comes out between Super Mario Galaxy and Michael comes out. Like there may be opportunities where, like, even when The Mummy's playing in IMAX, like it will get the evening show times, but if you want to go in the more afternoon hours, the matinees, you can see Project Hail Mary in IMAX. And Project Hail Mary made $28 million in IMAX on opening weekend, which was over 20% of its opening weekend gross of $140 odd million. And even now, with the overall is going past 300 million, the IMAX take is like 15-20% of that. And that's a big number, John. So IMAX, we know, books movies out ahead of time, long in advance, like even years in advance, like Oppenheimer or The Odyssey, or Sinners. So to that end, do you think that there's going to be demand for people to go see Project Hail Mary in IMAX again as soon as it's available? I know I will, because I didn't get to see it yet, and I'm just looking for the next IMAX screening.
I want to see it so badly. I just fucking but it's far from me. I still want to see it in 70 millimeter IMAX. That's the goal. I want to see that. I don't want to see lesser IMAX. I want to see 70 millimeter. I'm not coming back for 30%. I'm coming back for it all. All right. Don't fucking give me. Oh, it's still IMAX. No, fuck your IMAX. I want to see 70 motherfucking millimeter IMAX, because that's what
I was thinking. Maybe we should, like, I would be like, I'll cover the expenses of the two of us going to see it in like Lincoln Square IMAX. Like, we just need to find a screening time for when it plays, because that's a 70 millimeter IMAX. Like the AMC Burbank has a 70 millimeter IMAX in LA, and that is going to be playing Project Hail Mary in the morning. They have like 8:30 a.m. screenings, which were still filled up until this past weekend. And so even when The Mummy's coming out in a couple of weeks, during the day you can go see Project Hail Mary. So if you're somebody who's loving this movie and you want to go see it in IMAX and haven't yet done it, then you will get an opportunity to do that. And I'm really excited, because I mean, hopefully they'll do this not just like in the next few weeks, but they bring it back towards the end of the year, because they want to do that whole awards campaign Amazon MGM does. So I'm excited about that, John. But you know what, let's keep talking more Project Hail Mary. We gotta glaze the movie some more. there was a reel that they released today. I saw this on Instagram. It looks like it's one of the VFX vendors that worked on the movie, and it features the directors talking about stuff. This is specifically the scene where the canister, the xenonite canister that Rocky sends to the human ship. Why am I forgetting the name of the movie of the ship? But Ryan Gosling's character, Ryland Grace, he has to like kind of go and catch it, and you can see here the wire work that they're doing. Which, by the way, this video starts off with Ryan Gosling like in a few short words describing how tiring that experience is when you're on wires for a day. But you can see if you're able to replay this somehow, John, they're not doing this with green screens. Like, you watch this and you see they've got like these black, screens, like column screens, but they're like drapes or whatever, duvetine, cloth and stuff, and it's just black. And nowadays technology is advanced enough that not only can you paint out the wires, but you can still, cut out the actors and everybody from those backgrounds, like either black or they're white. And with black or white, you're able to like bounce light off of them or absorb the light. You don't have to worry about the green spill or the blue spill that you get from the green screen and blue screens, which you then have to like adjust for in post-production when you pull a key. They really meant this, John, and they didn't do this just for scenes like this. Even when they were like, in the movie when they're collecting the microbes off the planet, even those things were done with these with these black screens and white screens. And it's very similar. In fact, it's pretty much the same thing that the Dune movies have been doing with Denis Villeneuve. He was shooting everything without blue screens and green screens because he knew like then you have to worry about all that spillage, and then you have to do a lot of extra work in post-production. So they would just use these black screens in the back, and so like you get to see the sand and stuff. And then when they remove those things, black absorbs pretty much all light, or as much light as possible, so it doesn't really bounce anything off. And if you need somebody a part of it to be a white screen, and it just kind of becomes like another fill light essentially, because you can bounce light off the white screen, and it's not like green or blue light that is oddly noticeable. So I don't know, John, this is kind of impressive to me. I feel like this is the way more movies, especially of this scale, can do the work. And it just looks better, right? Like, it just looks more real because it is. Like, they didn't use they meant it. Like, I think if you were doubting that they used green screens or blue screens, this right here, is proof that they did not. So but let's keep going, because Boss Logic came up with a couple of fantastic poster crossovers.
The hierarchy of Project Hail Mary is about to change.
That famous Rock photo from, what was his college days, is like Rocky hate the new classic. Yes, love that photo. I remember that photo. I've seen that photo a million times of the Rock, a young Rock, except this time it's Rocky. Because remember when he debuted in WWF, he was called Rocky Maivia. So there's even more like, meta.
No, he was called the Pebble. That's what it was.
Right, and that alternate on Iridian, where Rocky was a professional wrestler turned actor turned engineer that ended up saving the universe or the galaxy. Anyway, the second one is even better, John, because of course in the movie, Ryland Grace gives Rocky's partner the name Adrian. Like it's. So this poster just made itself, like not literally, but it was just waiting to happen. So Rocky being Rocky in Philadelphia with the Rocky statue behind him on the steps. I don't know, John. This is perfect. I
think it's absolute Rocky.
It's absolute Rocky. It's absolute Rocky. It's great. This is awesome. I love to see it. Boy, I looked at this and smiled for way too long, and then sent it to like 5 people I knew. But anyway, let's keep going. So, thanks to Project Hail Mary, the U.S. box office, there was a report on the Wrap today that the U.S. box office has now posted the best first quarter since the pandemic, with a $1.77 billion. Now, of course, this is now the biggest box office, first 3 months, January, February, March, since the pandemic, which like counts from 2020 onward. It still doesn't beat the 2019 number, John. If you kind of scroll down on this, it does beat the 2023 number, which was the previous high post-pandemic. And this is the chart here. Now in 2019, they actually, went even higher than what we got this year, which actually by a good margin. But you look at how these numbers compare to the recent years. You had 2022 when the Batman came out, that was 1.35 billion. Then 2023 is the high mark with 1.75. We got 1.64 billion in 2024. Last year was a 1.45, which was a drop. It was the lowest since 2022. And then this year is 1.77. I think in large part from Project Hail Mary, because it made over $300 million in that window. Not to mention, Hoppers, Goat, and Avatar, obviously, was still playing in theaters at the start of this year.
Yeah, bleeding in there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So those are all big numbers. Avatar: Fire and Ash grossed $153.8 million in the first 3 months of the year. And then, of course, Hoppers made 141 million. We're talking about, U.S. results and not worldwide. And Scream 7 even made almost 120. Goat made another 100 million. Zootopia 2 added another 90 million from the back end of its run. Wuthering Heights added 84 million. And yeah, and of course now we're into April, so Super Mario Galaxy doesn't count in the first quarter, but it's going to be off to potentially a $175 million start. Now, here's the thing. Compared to 2019, we're still kind of really off the mark because it's still down 27% from the $2.41 billion that we did in 2019. But 2019 is also one of the greatest years in movies in recent memory in terms of at least making money. Disney had $6 or $7 billion movies by themselves that year. For example, in the first quarter of 2019, Captain Marvel came out and made $353.9 million in the US alone. Project Hail Mary did half that in the US. And then there were 5 films that grossed over $100 million this year in the first 3 months of the year. There were 7 that crossed $100 million in 2019. But if you look away from the numbers for a second, all you need to know is we're getting closer in many ways to 2019. And this is the biggest that we have been so far. 1.77 is the closest to $2 billion that we have gotten in those first 3 months. 5 versus 7. 7 was the number of movies that made at least 100 million in 2019. We have had 5 this year. I just hope that, by next year we are able to hit that number, that 29. Maybe not even hit it, but get closer to it. It's a good sign. It means there's more people. It's the whole thing of if you build it, they'll come, and clearly they're coming. No pun intended. But anyway, John, have you noticed that Project Hail Mary is the latest example of a movie that is a little bit longer than how movies used to be? Project Hail Mary came in at around 2 hours and 36 minutes, I believe. And it's not the only one. You talk about it all the time. The Batman, Oppenheimer was 3.5 hours long, Avengers Endgame was 3.5 hours long. So the Hollywood Reporter did some research, and it turns out it's not your imagination. Movies are indeed getting longer. The runtime of average major release films has now ballooned in recent years. Of course, we're talking about the last 10 or 15 years. And yes, of course, Marvel movies, like I mentioned just now, are definitely a part of what's to blame. Researcher Stephen Follows did some math and looked at the runtimes of, get this, 36,000 films that were released theatrically from 1980 all the way to 2025. And what he discovered was that the average length of a wide release theatrical title has grown from roughly 106 minutes in the 90s and early 2000s to 114 minutes. That's an 8-minute difference in recent years. Now, films with big budgets, we're talking 100 million plus, tend to be even longer. And then Stephen was pointing out that pre-show advertising and trailers, of course, we know, movie, all the AMC commercials and ads and Nicole Kidman and all these previews are now longer than ever, 20 to 30 minutes. So when you add up those 20 to 30 minutes plus the longer movies, even though we have fewer movies coming out and, movies are making less money and all that jazz, people are spending more time in movie theaters per movie than pretty much ever before. So yeah, that's kind of interesting to say. And also they talked about the genre that's most responsible for this, action films, which now average 128 minutes versus, you know, 103 minutes, a 25-minute difference from the 80s and 90s. And yeah, I mean, 14% of wide releases in the 1980s ran more than 2 hours. In the 2020s, 32% of movies run over 2 hours. You got Mission Impossible, Fast and Furious. I talked about Oppenheimer, even Project Hail Mary. Dune Part 2 was, 2 hours and 46 minutes long. Oppenheimer was straight up 3 hours. And they kind of point out that The Return of the King was the first like big IP movie that kind of started this trend a little bit, or at least like showed studios that you can release a 3.5 hour big IP movie and still be a big theatrical success. And of course, award winning and got even more extended release, cuts after the fact. John, my question to you would be, it's these bigger movies, because they point out in the article that 10 million or less budgeted movies are still roughly the same length. Is these bigger blockbusters that are that are longer now than ever before. Is that a problem? And do you think that this is a good thing or a bad thing for Hollywood and for the fans?
It kind of depends, because you could look at it as a good way or a bad thing. Like the fact that younger people are still going to the movies because that's kind of the place to be, even if it is a little more expensive. It's interesting because you have like these younger, mainly Gen Z, seeing these movies, and they actually can survive a movie that's longer than 2 hours because like, oh, the TikTok, it's brain rot, it's causing short attention spans. But the fact that like you have younger people who are going to see these movies and are willing to sit down and watch it. I mean, maybe there's some that look at their phone during it, but I think for the most part, these kids, because I hear them like whenever I go see like something like Project Hail Mary, and they're like enjoying it, and I don't see any like phone screens or anything like that. So that's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing for theaters because that means less showtimes per day, and
Less
you
money
aren't making
being
as
made.
much money.
Yeah.
So, which is a problem for them. And then on top of the fact that studios might see that as an issue, but like hell, they are greenlighting the movie, but maybe they are willing to sacrifice it because of these bigger movies. I don't know. But I think it's both a good thing and a bad thing. I think for theaters it could be a bad thing, but for young people it could be a good thing, especially with the world of TikTok we're in. So there's that. I think it's a little bit of both. It just kind of depends on the movie. With Project Hail Mary, that warrants its 2.5 hour running time because it doesn't feel like
Yeah,
it.
it works.
Meanwhile,
for it.
something
Yeah.
like the Batman, it does feel like it's 3 hour running time, and you can feel like, especially in the middle, it's a bit of a slog. So it's like, it just kind of depends on how well it it does its running time. I mean, Oppenheimer's another
Right.
great example where that's 3.5 hours long. Doesn't feel
Mhm.
like it at all, and you're interested
Nope.
all the way through, despite the fact it's like a period piece biopic. So that says a lot. I mean, that's mainly, another argument pro Nolan, but that's beside the point.
Well, yeah.
But I think, yeah, it's a grab bag of emotions. I can't really like give like a full answer of like 100% a good thing, 100% a bad thing. It's nuanced. It has a lot of angles. It has a lot of things to talk about. I think more than just today, we could maybe even do like a fucking editorial video on this,
Mhm.
because I think there is a lot to talk about in regards to the pros and cons of movies being longer and how that could work both for and against the industry, both for and against societal standards and pop culture zeitgeist
Right.
as well. So
Yeah, no, and you know what? I'll actually kind of point to what Caleb was saying. He's a Gen Zer who enjoys watching longer movies. And Caleb, your favorite director, Denis Villeneuve, actually pointed something out recently, making an argument just last year, and they point out in this article too that the younger viewers
but the thing
like
is,
you
you're
said, John,
not
they appreciate
you're not
longer
the
films.
general audience. I'm talking about general audience here. So
Well, but I think Denis Villeneuve was kind of
I'm technically
referencing
Gen
more
Z
of a.
too. I mean, it kind of depends on the day at this point. If I feel more
Yeah.
millennial or Gen Z, I'm kind of right in the middle. So
Yeah, I mean,
zillennial,
but like,
as many would say.
sure. Denis Villeneuve specifically was saying the public, the public that went to see Oppenheimer was young, even though it was a rated R movie about nuclear physics that is mostly about talking, and it's 3 hours long. The public that went to see it was young. He said that was a movie of the year by far for his kids, and there was a trend. The youth love to watch long movies because if they pay, they want to see something substantial. They're craving meaningful content.
They crave the minds. I mean, what?
Like you said, John, I think we can do a big editorial video on this because you can really dive deep into this and we can like ask other people for their opinion, like, people who would count as like average moviegoers or even like big fans of the movies, what to think about this. But
they literally have another movie set up. Like, it's going to happen. We're going to be talking about it later. So that's just wrong. Yeah. Not even a hot take, it's just wrong.
Don't worry, Stacey. We'll get into that. But speaking of the Daniels, but like, John, there is still something to be said about the idea that, the first Jaws movie and The Empire Strikes Back, the second Star Wars movie, they were like 2 hours and 4 minutes long, both of them. The Back to the Future movie, like the first one, was under 2 hours. I mean, not to mention the original Jurassic Park and Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2 were both 2 hours and 7 minutes. Like, it's the idea of like, maybe there's something to the concept of purposefully leaving your audiences wanting more in like a good way, right? Because I know you want it to be a big event, you want people to sit through these longer movies and you want it to count for something. We're talking about like 4 hour, 3.5 hour runtimes for, Doomsday this year. But like, what if Doomsday was like 2 hours long? Like, do you feel like that could still work? Because like Supergirl, like it's gonna be like 2 hours long most likely, or somewhere in that neighborhood. Like, do you think it's purely the runtime, or do you think it's also like the movie itself? Because maybe it is a matter of like, none of those movies I just mentioned from back in the day made like $1 billion. Now I'm not talking about like adjusted for inflation, but like for its time, the standards were different. But also like they were releasing in fewer markets. China wasn't as big, so it is a nuanced argument. But I mean, I don't know. Do you think like it is okay to get movies that are longer, that are bigger? Because obviously the really smaller movies, the indie movies, are still usually shorter. They're not the ones that are 3.5 hours long.
Yeah, I think, but that could showcase the good balance of like balance as all things should be. Like you have, bigger movies that are, big running times, and then you have smaller movies that are smaller running times. So I think it balances itself out. So I don't know. I think for the most part it's good, but like I could see some of the discrepancies there.
Yeah. Look, I think we should definitely do an editorial on this because we can kind of dive into this in much more detail. But I mean, you guys let us know in the comments. What do you think? Do you like the idea that longer movies are okay as long as those are the big ones, like the big event movies? Are you just like somebody who's not a big fan of the longer movies? I know Liz doesn't like the idea of sitting in a movie theater for 5 hours because you're sitting through the previews and you watch the movie, then you're sitting there for the end credit scene, so you watch the entire credits, and then you get to walk out, and like 5 hours later you're like I need to go pee, because you went through a whole bucket of popcorn and a large soda. So let us know what you think about that idea. It does turn out that movies generally are longer, especially the big ones these days, than they used to be. It's not just in your mind. You're not imagining it. It is actually happening. But maybe there's a good reason for that. So let us know in the comments what you think about it. In the meantime, we're going to talk about some MCU Weekly, and we've got a good amount of MCU Weekly talk today. John, why don't you lead the way on this, because I know you're a bigger Daredevil fan than I am.
So yeah, sure. But in terms of Daredevil Born Again, Season 3 set photos reveal a return of somebody. Two spoilers, not just one. So that's interesting. But,
so Daredevil Born Again Season 3 has just started filming, right? So like people are walking by seeing trailers and stuff on set for actors. And they spotted a couple of significant ones, John.
Yeah, so it seems like Deborah Ann Wool and Kristen Ritter are going to be coming back as their respective characters. So that's great, but it also apparently debunks theories that it was going to be an adaptation of Guardian Devil, which is, it's apparently it's not going to follow that exactly, but that's, of course. But I think with like the whole like Defenders reunion and the fact that like it was usually Daredevil and Jessica and then Heroes for Hire, that makes sense that she would stay longer before like they officially like green light another Jessica Jones series, which I don't know if people actually want to see or not, but you know, I think this is good to see. So we're getting more of them, and that's good because I think both are great actresses, and I think both add a lot to that world. So,
But John, that's not all, because as the day went on, more pictures surfaced, and more people got scoops out there that we're not just getting the return of Jessica Jones and Karen Page for season 3. You know, we're getting a lot more than that. Obviously, we're gonna have, you know, Kingpin back, although nobody really knows what Kingpin's gonna be doing because it has been confirmed now that he will no longer be the mayor. What's the name of the character? It's like, I forget. It's like, was it Sheila Rivera or something, or Shelby Rivera?
something like that.
Yeah. So I don't know if you're. Is this the second article? So the one there was there's a second article that points out. Well, the Kingpin twist is basically what I was talking about before that. As we kind of got it spoiled in the Spider-Man trailer, we know that while Kingpin is in the season, he's not the mayor anymore. Sheila Rivera is going to be the mayor, which is what we see in the trailer for Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
They can't really talk about that too much, but John, it looks like the Defenders are getting back together again. They will finally reassemble in season 3, because we have gotten confirmation across social media. We're not gonna really show those photos, but Mike Coulter and Finn Jones have both been seen on the set of Daredevil Born Again season 3. So a Heroes for Hire reunion, the Defenders, it looks like the band is getting back together again. I don't know, what do you think? I mean, what does this tell you about season 3, if anything?
It's gonna be fucking huge, bro. It's gonna be fucking huge. It's gonna be Defenders level threat, and then they're probably gonna, you know, bring in like, if I were to take a guess, like, oh, gonna greenlight a whole bunch of series. We're getting a Punisher special presentation, so he's probably not gonna get another show, but we're probably like, you know, gonna like it's gonna be called AKA Jessica Jones or something like that to differentiate.
Yeah.
And then you're probably gonna get a Heroes for Hire show because Iron Fist was not incredibly popular by himself, so they're like, all right, let's put the two together. Hell, you could even make the argument that Luke Cage was not popular by himself because the two more popular shows were Jessica Jones and Daredevil, even though Luke Cage was way better than Jessica Jones, but that's just my opinion. So ironically, and you know, history is doomed to repeat itself because that's what it was back in the 70s when both martial arts movies and blaxploitation movies became less popular. They're like, okay, we have these two characters that can't like hold their own with their own books and just stick them together. And then it became one of like the best friendships in all of comics just because editorial was like, we can't really sustain this. Throw them in a book together. And it like worked like miraculously and was brilliant. So, you know, that's what I think it'll be. Luke Cage and Iron Fist were kind of not as popular as those other two shows, so I imagine them getting Heroes for Hire because that would be great. So
yeah, I mean, we know that Luke Cage and Iron Fist both ended on like cliffhangers, right? So I guess I don't know like how directly that's.
I think it was like I don't know what happened with Iron Fist, but I know Luke Cage became like Godfather of Harlem kind of thing. Like he became the boss because he's like, in order to stop the corruption, I have to kind of become the corruption just to like kind of get under that. So
I don't know how that's gonna get addressed in the MCU. Like, how do they reconcile that with what's been going on with Kingpin and all? Maybe that hints at the idea. Maybe Mike Coulter has a cameo in this season that we haven't seen yet. You know, the Kingpin twist will be interesting to see what state Kingpin is. Maybe he's just locked up in a prison. Who knows? Maybe he just got canceled. So, yeah, I mean, Kingpin is in season 3. That we know. We just don't know what he's gonna be up to. John, actually, do you mind? I'm gonna put up a little spoiler warning. Let's see if you can actually pull up those photos real quick because all these actors were spotted on set, or walking up to set, and like there's this one I think account on X, Joseph Adames, who was basically trying to get all these photos of these actors, which is why we know now. I mean, they're not just like all in New York City as a coincidence. We saw Kristen Ritter, we saw Deborah Ann Wall. There you go. You of course got Luke Cage and Iron Fist there as well. The Defenders are indeed getting back together again. Yeah. I mean, Mike Coulter recently started talking about it in a much more of an upbeat sense. And so that was like a hint that maybe he is coming back. Finn Jones, on the other hand, has kind of been saying it for years that he'd like to get another crack at it, John. And now with Dario Scardapane as the new showrunner, when they did their overhaul, he's clearly just leaning heavily into this Daredevil show is the same Daredevil show as before, or we're going back in that same direction. And Liz told us that episode 1 was very much like a huge improvement on anything season 2 had. So, I mean, do you think that these guys could be in other projects now? Because now that they're in the MCU proper, do you think Finn Jones and Mike Coulter, like, could they be involved in other crossovers maybe beyond just the
possibly?
Like maybe a what if crossover or something, like, because like Finn Jones had talked
We'll
about
see,
maybe
but
doing other
it's
things.
I mean it's kind of unlikely, but
Yeah.
we'll see how popular it is, and then we'll get there when we
Or
get
maybe
there.
like a Shang-Chi cross. I don't know. I'm getting really out of hand with that. Let's talk about the Avengers, John. Avengers Doomsday. There's a new report, and there's some rumors going around that the trailer may actually come out sooner than we all expect it. So according to this article in comicmovie.com, which I think this is now reporting that's been happening across the week, so I figured we give it a mention here. Daniel Rickman this week reported that a big Disney trailer and a poster are set to drop on Monday, this upcoming Monday, Easter Monday. Usually what happens is you release the poster and then you release a trailer the day after. So my guess would be that if they were to drop a poster on Monday for whatever movie it is, we don't know that for sure, it's a big movie, then the trailer comes out on Tuesday, April the 7th. So the poster drops April 6th. And the speculation is it's either Ridley Scott's The Dark Stars. That's a huge movie. It's got Jacob Elordi, Josh Brolin, Margaret Qualley, and a bunch of other big actors. The Dark Stars would be one consideration. But then you can also be the Avengers Doomsday, John. And in addition to Daniel Richter, a bunch of other scoopers have kind of been saying the same thing, that this may just be the Avengers Doomsday trailer. I mean, keeping in mind that CinemaCon is not that far away, do you think Disney would be putting the Doomsday trailer out now, or would they save some of those announcements for later?
I mean, I said they would save it for later, but then I was also kind of wrong about that. So I think it'll be sooner rather than later, because
Okay.
that's. I mean, I said Spider-Man was gonna show up at CinemaCon, and look how that turned out. So I think I think we might be getting it, sooner rather than later.
I hope so. Dude, the internet is going to blow up on Tuesday
Yeah.
if that's the case. We'll be here talking about like that all the time, like the whole show. We'll be talking about breaking down all the Easter eggs and the theorizing and everything. But John, in this article, they also have an update for us. If you scroll back down to where you were earlier, apparently we know the lineup of Funko Pops that are going to get released.
Oh
in
my
November.
God! Wow, great.
I mean, no
crazy.
huge. Okay, so here's the thing. There's 12 mini figures that are a bit of a mystery, so we don't know yet what those are going to be. But the other ones are pretty obvious, like Magneto, Cyclops, Mr. Fantastic, Thor, Doctor Doom, Cyclops. This is only the first batch though, because they're gonna be releasing, a second wave, and when they release the second wave, that's maybe where we get some of the surprise characters. Like, I mean, Steve Rogers is not here. Everybody's gonna be wondering what Steve Rogers' Funko Pop's like, because that will indicate like, oh, maybe we're getting a particular variant of Steve Rogers, or maybe we're just getting the one we have always known and loved. Who knows? Because there's also a rumor going around, John. Speaking of the Avengers, and this one comes from My Time to Shine. Hello. If you go to the next article for a moment.
Yep.
They kind of put it out there that by the time we get to Avengers Secret Wars, we're going to see Tony Stark Robert Downey Jr. not just playing Doctor Doom, but we're going to see Tony Stark. We're going to see Robert Downey Jr. also return somehow as Iron Man to fight Doctor Doom.
So what you did really meant nothing. People are going to be pissed about this. They're going to be like, really?
I mean, it's still a rumor, but like, who knows? Like, it's still Secret Wars, which they haven't even shot yet. So I don't know. Like, I'm not quite buying it just yet. I feel like the
We'll
Russo brothers
see.
would
I
know
mean,
there'd
who
be some
knows if it's
backlash.
actually true, but yeah, it's definitely.
I'm like, maybe if they do make that happen, then and they have to be ballsy to do that. But I feel like if they think the Doomsday is gonna be such a home run, that people are just gonna give them carte blanche with creative decisions at that point and be like, well, no matter what you do in Secret Wars, you can't do any wrong because Doomsday was such a wet dream come true. Then maybe at that point they're like, yeah, why not? Why not we bring him? But it does kind of like get to that idea of like, so you killed him off, then you brought him back, and so now you're gonna kill him off again, so then he can come back again. Like it's just kind of weird, like how all that would work. The other thing I wanted to, the other thing I wanted to get into, because there's a bunch of different rumors and potential spoilers in this. So let me see if I can put a spoiler warning up again for you guys. But Caleb Williams, who's like another scooper online, I don't know if I think we might have seen Caleb Williams in the chat before. Multiple Calebs we usually get. So they were looking up trademarks. Marvel just actually trademarked Infinity Vision, and in connection to potentially Vision Quest. And then, of course, Terry Matalas John was giving an interview to The Direct recently, and he was asked about Vision Quest and maybe if it was going to get a second season or not. And Terry Matalas was sort of kind of like almost walking on eggshells with the answer that he gave, because he said, I think that's up to the Marvel and Disney gods. It doesn't necessarily have to stand on its own. There's a group of characters and situations that are certainly on their own, if you will, or on their own island, if you will, trying to figure out how to say this, which is the part where I'm like, so what are you not trying to say? You could very much see these characters again if you want, Terry said. And then he continued saying, he was asked then, hey, do you think the Vision Quest is going to set up something significant in the next Avengers movies? And Terry Matalas was like, that I can't comment on at all. You look at these comments from Terry Matalas, he's sort of like walking on eggshells to answer some of these questions. You guys let me know, what do you think that really means here? Do you think that this is a situation where we are going to be seeing potentially Vision Quest be a big factor in what goes on in the Avengers movies? Or do you think that this is just Terry Matalas being secretive because he doesn't want to spoil anything about the show itself? I mean, Vision, Infinity Vision kind of implies that maybe we're going in a slightly different direction. Maybe like the there was the Ultron character, the Infinity Ultron, and What If. It reminds me of that. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think this will have a big bearing? Like, will Vision Quest play a big role in the Avengers movies? Because remember, recently Kevin Feige and Marvel have sort of gone in the direction that these Disney Plus shows don't play as big of a role in the movies, so they don't become homework for the movies, like what caused the Marvels to not do well, because two of the three main characters were from Disney Plus shows that not as many people saw as people who saw Captain Marvel the movie. So I mean, if I was a betting man, I would imagine that while Vision Quest might help inform some parts of Avengers, Doomsday, and Secret Wars, like Wiccan and Speed, maybe, I don't think it's going to be so central to setting up any big plot point in Avengers Doomsday as maybe what some people might be thinking about. I just don't see how that would be the case. But you guys let me know in the comments, of course. I would love to hear from you, because, yeah. Do you think Vision Quest is going to have a big role to play? That's definitely something that's, that's worth an ask, because it's going to be like the last show before the movie's out, if you look at the timeline. Like Vision Quest finishes airing right around the same time that Doomsday's coming out. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a connection there. Ron saying, yeah, avoid the homework thing. The MCU, there's the number one reason why people have been put off from the MCU. Yeah, no, I agree. I absolutely agree. I think that's definitely been a big problem. I mean, the Marvels isn't probably the only example either, like Quantumania, I think, was relying on people watching Loki. And obviously a lot of people watch Loki, but I don't think as many people watched Loki as maybe they thought, would, to sort of boost Quantumania's box office. I mean, Quantumania still made like $500 million, for what's considered a flop by Marvel standards. It was, because they spent so much money on it, but and it was a bad movie. But anyway, Stacy, I love the hot takes, but we did do the hot takes already, so you don't have to keep sending in hot just now. But anyway, so let me move past this story for a second. Let me see if I can get to the next part. I wish John was here for this one. He kind of stepped away for a moment, but I'm really excited to talk about Spider Noir because I know this is, to me, until we get the next Spider-Verse movie, Spider Noir is probably going to be like the best Spider-Man thing we have seen in a while. I think Spider Noir is probably even better than Spider-Man Brand New Day. And there's some good reason for why I think so. So let me get into that for a second here. Let's talk about Spider Noir because, of course, they released some new uh, artwork for the show. To kind of, these are all like assets and elements that'll be used across the board promoting the show, and this was on X. I came across this earlier today. I saw that they've got these the Hex Facilities, the account that released these, and you can see here they've got all this work that really leans into that noir aspect of the show. With no power comes no responsibility seems to be the go-to tagline for the show. And of course you got Ben Riley, B Riley. This just looks great. Whether you want to make the Sin City comparison or you want to make it just to comparison to like I don't know like Chinatown or something, that seems to be what they're going for, and I am here for it. I love this idea. I love it the more I see it. So just some geeky guys saying, did you guys hear MJ's new husband Paul died? Who are you talking about? Which MJ are we talking about? You're talking about the character in the comic? I actually heard about that, yes. I heard, yeah. Well, this is a comic thing. I don't think we really covered it on the show. I mean, but nobody liked Paul. Like, so like, yeah, nobody liked Paul. Who cares? Who cares? Good riddance. So thank you for clarifying. But anyway, Spider Noir. As I was talking about it, I think this could be the best thing Spider-Man related for a long while. Here's why. Because Variety was giving out their early Emmy predictions, because we have Emmys coming up in a few months' time. And then their early Emmy predictions were comedy series, because Spider Noir is going to be competing in the comedy series, not the drama series. It looks like Amazon MGM is looking to leave their mark, because Spider Noir and Jury Duty, are going to be the two lead ones that they will be promoting for the comedy series. And then you got Hacks coming back for their final season, so they're looking at that as like the three predictions. But Spider Noir could be big. I mean, I feel like still Hacks is probably going to be in the lead for this. Like you see here, these are the odds, from Variety's early Emmy predictions for this year, and you can see here this is how they rank them. Hacks is at the top of the list. I feel like they're gonna give Hacks the award this year because this final season is gonna be probably epic, and we've already heard some talks from Jean Smart and Hannah, I forget her last name, the two lead actors in the show, talking about it. Then Abbott Elementary is a big one. They've already won an Emmy for it before. Margot's got Money Troubles on Apple TV. That's a really underrated show. And then you got Spider Noir right there, number 4. That's the only comic book related thing here in the top 8. You got Wonder Man sitting, down in number 15. That's like the also in contention category that they've got. Still some really good shows there. You got The Paper, Rooster on HBO Max. You got Wednesday, of course, on Netflix. The Bear still competing in comedy somehow. The Fall and Rise of Reggie Dinkins I feel like should be higher up the list. Like it's only number 9. But you got Shrinking. Shrinking is definitely worth it. I feel like it should be higher, but then The Comeback is also a really good show. And Only Murders in the Building, it's a perennial contender now. Nobody Wants This on Netflix again. The Lowdown on FX, that's another one. But John, if I were to ask you, Variety is looking at like Spider Noir potentially having a big presence in the Emmys this year for comedy series, and according to Variety, it has the 4th best current odds to potentially take away the award, especially for the best comedy series. That's a pretty heavyweight competition between Hacks, Abbott Elementary, Only Murders in the Building, and even with Wonder Man sort of in the distance, pack at number 15. What do you think about Spider Noir? I think this could be the best Spider-Man related thing we see this year, and the fact that they're talking about an Emmy consideration. What does that tell you? Where do you see it going?
I think the fact that like Wonder Man has gotten like overwhelmingly positive reviews, and then the show that isn't even fucking out yet is like a full like 10 steps higher. That's crazy. I didn't expect that at all.
Yeah.
I didn't expect Wonder Man to be nominated at all
Nick
for an
Cage.
Emmy. I didn't expect that because like of course like it's comedy. It's superhero stuff. Penguin was like a one-shot deal, and so I didn't think that, but the fact that like and because of that, it's one of those things where I didn't expect Wonder Woman. I fucking really didn't expect Spider Noir, but the fact that this is in contention is crazy. Very interesting indeed.
Yeah, no,
especially when
this
the
is, like,
Nick
that
Cage how he
comparison is-
views the
yes.
role as like a spider pretending to be a man. I'm like, okay,
I'm like,
I accept your
dude.
premise.
Yes, I need to see more. Yeah. Enterprising, by the way, popping in just now. He just went to see Super Mario Galaxy and Project Hail Mary on what is probably the best back-to-back opportunity at the movie theaters in a long time, maybe since even Barbenheimer. That's awesome, man. Ron, why haven't you seen Project Hail Mary? Go see that movie, man. It's the best movie in theaters right now. It really is. I would go see it before Super Mario if you haven't seen it yet. But Jay, you know what? Just give it to Spider Noir. Nothing beats the Cage. You're right, Ron. And here's why.
Daddy's gotta go to work.
I feel the need for speed. That's a cute outfit. Did your husband give it to you?
I'm Nick Friggin! Okay! Really? Really? Really?
And on that note, I think we should dive into the quick hits, shall we?
Let's do that.
Yeah, let's
and our
do
first
that.
one, you know, a little bit teased back here. Is Doctor Who heading to HBO Max? No. If you read the article, no. It's a clickbaity headline. Casey Blois did say, like, maybe, like, it's an option, maybe kind of sorta. I'm not really fucking thinking about it. So, that's essentially what it is. Could it? Possibly, but I don't see that happening anytime soon, but maybe HBO is willing more than Disney Plus. I don't know, but we'll see. But, I mean, considering it is a little bit more likely, only because HBO Max did have the rights to Doctor Who, New Who from 2005 to pretty much Jodie Whittaker, right? Like I think that was around 2018, 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe no, 2020, 2021. Where it was essentially Christopher Eccleston and Jodie Whittaker. So they do have the rights, and I think they still technically have the rights on HBO Max. I don't think they got taken down. So it's a little bit more likely. It's just like with where the rights are for this fucking show is so. You have Classic Who on Tubi, you have some of it on HBO Max, some of it on Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
And now might go back to HBO Max. It's just, oh god, too confusing. But it would be interesting. I want to see Doctor Who like come back properly. It's just they need to like right the ship before focusing on like another streaming deal. So we'll see. Hopefully things can get better before they get worse.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it's gonna be interesting to say the least. But I mean, Casey Blois was not giving away any secrets. He was like they haven't approached me about putting this on HBO Max anytime soon. I know that HBO Max strategy in the UK is to not do a lot of local productions. They're like, I mean, they do a lot of stuff there anyway, like Harry Potter and stuff, but still, like, Harry Potter is sort of considered like a US-led show, even though it's pretty much all done in the UK. So yeah, I believe it. I mean, but you know what? It wouldn't cost much, because I feel like HBO Max would just, like you said, would be kind of taking the show and just putting it on the streaming service. And I don't think they're gonna do a co-financing deal like what Disney did. I mean, they've already seen that experiment fail. So anyway, I mean, you know, I just want to see more Doctor Who. They're doing a holiday special for BBC this year, right?
Yeah. So yeah, interesting. Yep. Also interesting, Spaceballs, the sequel, new Mel Brooks, Rick Moranis, and Josh Gad movie to blast off next spring. So
right,
cool. I don't know. I was never a huge Spaceballs fan. I don't hate it, but I don't love it either. In terms of Mel Brooks comedies, like Young Frankenstein and Blazing Saddles are way fucking better than Spaceballs. it was like kind of like a right place, right time kind of thing, where it was like, all right, right around the time, you know, Star Wars is popular, let's make fun of Star Wars. Boom, there we go. It worked, but I think there are better Mel Brooks movies that are funnier.
Well, so April 23rd, 2027 is the release date. That's the release date we're getting. Just to kind of
so not terribly excited, but not like I'd watch it, like see how it is.
Yeah, no, it's fair.
But going to the Daniels, Ryan Gosling has now apparently exited the movie despite being attached to it for what, a fucking week? God, that still lasts longer than most of Kim K's marriages, but you know, it's still, you know, damn, bro.
Yeah, it is crazy. I mean, John, why do you think that is? Like, do you think that was like what could have been the case? Because to me, the most likely thing would be like scheduling conflicts, because Ryan Gosling is
probably
so busy
scheduling conflicts. Ryan Gosling probably has something.
Actually, you know what? It's actually right there. Hold on. If you scroll down a little bit. Yep, there it is. Okay, so this movie got like a big California production tax credit, and so they weren't able to shift their, you know, start date, the filming start date, from this summer, and you know, Ryan Gosling's got another thing on his calendar already, so. And you know, this movie's gonna have to stick with Universal to the date, to its release date of November 19, 2027, and therefore Ryan Gosling, literally for scheduling conflicts, wasn't able to do it. So there you go. That explains it. Damn, Daniel. Yeah, that sucks.
Oh well.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't suck. J.J. Abrams getting an L. We all love to see it, but apparently J.J. Abrams is scaling down Bad Robot as he moves to New York. But you know, he's going from LA to New York, and he had to scale a bunch of stuff down, and let's hope in the coming year Bad Robot is no more.
Oh, come on, man. Like, you can't... Okay. Well, I mean, at the peak of their prime, they were doing things like Lost and Fringe, and obviously the Star Trek movies, even Star Wars, Westworld. But, like, they've really scaled back. Like, remember their deal with Warner Brothers that was, like... It went through a bidding war, and it was, like, a $250-500 million, like... production deal that Warner Brothers won. Then when David Zaslav walked in the door, he was like, we're gonna give you a couple of more years of it, but then it's only gonna be a first look deal. So like, it's really more of like an optional thing. Like, you show us something, if we don't like it, you can take it elsewhere. And then like that Dust show that they did recently, like, got canceled after one season. They really don't have much going on. So they had hundreds of people in that HQ out west that they just don't have working for them anymore. I mean, they're still making things. I think there's a show on Apple TV or Netflix. I think there's an HBO thing they still have going on or in the works, but it's a lot less than before. And J.J. Abrams also lives in New York, so it just makes sense for them to now, I guess, move things out east. So there you go.
Yep.
But yeah,
anyway,
not the giant it used to be.
Meryl Streep says Devil Wears Prada was called a chick flick, and that label was not worn well after Barbie and Mamma Mia success. Okay.
No, I mean, I kind of get what she's getting at, because it's like the chick flick implies that only women go to see it. I mean, I'm not a woman the last I checked, and I went to see, you know, Barbie 4 times in theaters. I mean, I understand what she's saying. I mean, maybe it's a little hyperbolic, but it's also like, I think we live in a time now where, like, for example, The Devil Wears Prada 2 will have a female skewing audience, but I bet you a lot of dudes are going to go see it too, even if they're just getting dragged by their, you know, significant others to do so. But yeah, so I understand what she's getting at. It's fair. It's not really a chick. It's going to be a cultural phenomenon. It's going to make a lot of money.
Yep.
Maybe
Anyway, cool.
Yeah.
Andy Serkis confirms Aragorn recasting a new Lord of the Rings movie. So it is very official that Aragorn will appear, just not by Viggo Mortensen. So it's like, what's the point? But you know, yeah. Just I can't imagine this movie fucking doing well. It's just like,
I don't know. Look, I'm gonna give it a shot, because you never know. Like, it's. I hope it's not 3.5 hours long, but like, you know, I hope that Andy Serkis has a good story in mind. I want him to succeed. And you want more Lord of the Rings, don't you? Like, I feel like this movie needs to succeed for the next one after it to succeed, which we talked about the other day, that Stephen Colbert is writing. So Henry Cavill as Aragorn, I would buy that. Like, I would totally take that. Like, but then again, maybe that makes me a normie.
It would be funny if just like out of like a tongue-in-cheek joke, if they brought back Stuart Townsend for Aragorn, because he was originally set to play Aragorn, but he was being an asshole, so they fucking got rid of him. But it would be really funny, even though he's like a little bit, I think he's like maybe a little bit younger than Viggo Mortensen, but that would be funny if they brought him back and then he was the younger Aragorn.
No, that would be hilarious. I don't know if he fits the age profile anymore, though. They're probably looking for a much younger actor.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, I'm one of them skibbity riz broccoli haired looking motherfuckers, so yeah. But speaking of Warner Brothers properties that don't need to be brought back, Harry Potter HBO series sets behind the scenes special Finding Harry, the Craft Behind the Magic. Already? Goddamn. Okay, Jesus. All right.
What do you mean already? Well, I mean, obviously they're trying to capitalize on the fanfare. So I actually am looking forward to this. I want to see this. I mean, because I think this comes out before the show does, doesn't it? Like, or is it? I forget the timeline, but this is gonna be interesting either way. Yes, Peter Jackson is producing both of those movies, the Lord of the Rings movies. Yes. He's very involved. He was part of the announcement too, actually. So yeah.
Lin-Manuel Miranda directed film adaptation of Octet Musical. The a cappella musical, written by Dave Malloy, follows a support group for internet addicts. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Interesting. Yeah, same reaction as you. Cool. Guess we'll see how it is.
Don't really care.
Great.
Con to world premiere John Travolta's directorial debut, Propeller One Way Night Coach. That is a fucking stupid title, but like.
I think his daughter is in it. It's like a whole family affair. There are like a lot of a lot of his family is involved in this movie in many different ways. It's also like a.
I don't have friends. I got family.
I don't need a supporting cast. I got family.
Literally, it's also like a mid-length film is being called, so it's not like quite a feature-length film. I don't know what that means. It's like maybe it's a TV movie, length movie. I don't know. It'll be interesting. I mean, Cannes, so that's a big deal. Good luck to John Travolta. I'm sure he's gonna fly in on his 707 and park it on the beaches of Cannes. Maybe, who knows?
Anyway,
we'll see.
Next up. Brian Cox has apparently been cast in Dexter Resurrection Season 2, and he's going to be playing the New York Ripper, which was one of the fictional serial killers that was talked about in the show at length. So they're like, okay, if this gets renewed, they're going to fucking bring in the New York Ripper. And they bring in one of the most, like, legendary actors of all time. I mean, which makes sense. It's just, like, it's so funny, like, Dexter was, like, this kind of rinky-dink little show that was on the lesser HBO Showtime. And now it's like you have Peter Dinklage coming in, you got Uma Thurman, now you got Brian Cox coming in. It's just like Clancy Brown was in New Blood. It's just like, damn, all right, fuck. Holy shit. And then that doesn't even count like Kristen Ritter, Neil Patrick Harris, David Dastmalchian, Eric Stonestreet. Like, you have all these, like, not A-listers, but, like, still, like, pretty high-profile people. And then now you bring in Brian Cox. And the thing is, the show was great. Like, Clyde Phillips, he was on the show's best seasons. The first 4 seasons were probably the best the show ever was. Seasons 1, 2, and 4 are legendarily amazing. Season 3 was kind of iffy, but it was still pretty good. And then after that, it kind of fell by the wayside. I mean, season 5 and 6 were pretty good, but 7 and 8 were horrible. So bring back the old showrunner, make it work, and boom, they have a fucking amazing show that understands Dexter and is fucking phenomenal. I didn't watch Original Sin, but Resurrection was really fucking good. Like, I would say that's one of like top 3 best like Dexter seasons. I would go so far.
I mean, I'm not as big a fan of the franchise, but when you see Brian Cox joining anything, I'm like, you had my curiosity, now you've got my attention. So, yeah. This should be fun.
Hello. SAG-AFTRA Communications Staff Union voluntarily recognized. I think this is good. Is it good? Is it good?
Yes, it's good because the staff
Okay.
communications union, yes, they recognize they voluntarily recognize. It wasn't like they had to fight and like go on a strike and stuff. The workers are joining the National Organization of Legal Service Workers, so it's a union that already exists. It's just the communications staff at SAG-AFTRA. They counted like the amount of interest that there was, and they were like, oh well, there's enough of us that want to do it. So then like SAG-AFTRA, are you on board? They were like, yeah, sure. And so, you know, in the long run, I think this is a good thing. Hey, Patrick. How you doing, man? It has been a while. Long time no see. Well, we're glad you're here. Let's keep going.
Anyway, so next up, looks like your boy fucking came in and really did steal those Kit Kats. Because, I mean, there's photographic evidence right here.
It's right there.
I mean,
that's Dom and his crew.
Who needs Kit Kats when you got family?
You don't turn your back on family.
You heard those Kit Kats? Like, yeah, the more valuable than car radios. John, by the way, I think we should definitely for next Fancast Friday, because today we're doing DCU The Flash Director. One of the options in the next poll has to be the Kit Kat Heist Bandits. Because can you imagine between Dom's crew, Danny Ocean's crew, like the Italian job crews, whether it's Marky Mark or Michael Caine, you know, there's so many different options. Come on, Dom and crew stealing. The movie writes itself. They need to build a gag about this. Like, you know, they find Tej, and Tej is just like busy trying to steal a Kit Kat truck and can't even do that. And Dom is like, I need you to come back to the family, and we need to like do some real shit, fast forever. And I don't know, like, that needs to be a thing. But thank you, Boss Logic. This is exactly how I imagined it in my mind. So thank you for the Photoshop.
But now, James Gunn breaks silence on viral post amid Supergirl trailer buzz. But,
what do you think he was talking about? What do you think this was about, John, when he put it on his story?
Either one of two things. One, he's referencing Project Hail Mary, and he actually approved it by leaving a thumbs down. If you know, you know. Or he's talking about how all the incels who look like fungal-ridden toes are calling Millie Alcock ugly, which is just hilarious in and of itself. So whatever it is, I think it's the latter.
If you scroll down, they tell you in the article, and I think the former is the right answer. Because then he went on Threads and had to clarify that yes, it's from Hail Mary, as many of you have guessed. Yes. James Gunn appreciates Rocky much like we all do. So there you go, if you were wondering. James Gunn was not giving a thumbs down to the Supergirl trailer. Because he posted the Supergirl trailer on his story. He's about to see Project Hail Mary, then did the thumbs down.
Speaking of...
Oh, come on, man. Like...
Nope.
I was like, oh my god, guys. It's like, Rocky's so hilarious, y'all. I love it. This moment here, like the hello, that's like, still tearing up. Also, the voices scene was amazing. Love that. The deep voice. There's a lot of dialogue from the book that never made it onto the screen with the movie. I do wonder if we're gonna get more of that in like the deleted scenes, if like they shot it and they ultimately didn't use it.
I want to see that 7-hour rough cut, Lord and Miller. Give me that 7-hour rough cut, okay?
Enterprising, they wouldn't break off the piece, so I'm taking the truck. Got it. That's what Dom said.
Anyway.
By the way, that scene where he walks into the ship, like running in, Rocky's my favorite scene. Period.
So, guys, if you wanted to watch Rocky sleep, here you go.
Yeah, you know what? And while you watch, they just will play the soundtrack for Project Hail Mary for you. You can literally, what is this, like 10 hours long? How long is this thing?
It's like two something hours.
Oh, is it? Oh,
that's a little bit longer than 2 hours. It's still shorter than the movie.
Well, because they don't have the score playing every moment of the movie, but that's probably why. But you can watch Rocky sleep while you listen to the soundtrack of Project Hail Mary, you know?
I don't have it muted, so this sounds like really fucking nice to me right now.
You watch Rocky sleep? Rocky No Die? Yeah. Amazing.
You sleep, I watch.
You sleep, I watch, yeah. 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 This movie's so good. Yes.
Anyway,
well,
before we get demonetized, that's it.
That's it. That's all the quick hits. Well, that
and
was.
You know what, Dan? One more for the road.
What's real is family.
Yep. We're on to you, Dom. You know what you guys have been up to. They gotta do maybe like a dialogue reference. It's like, hey, it's better than that like job we pulled the other day. All we got were Kit Kats out of it, or like chocolate bars. I don't know. It's like they need to have a line in Fast Forever.
I
like
would go watch the movie. I've never seen a single
like,
Fast and Furious movie.
I would
go watch the movie if they have a Kit Kat reference. I will.
I would too.
Well, you're a fan. Of course you're going to see it either way, but I don't fucking care about Fast and Furious, so it means more when I say it. Anyway.
True.
But you know what we really are, Dan? We're #blessed. So let's get DCU Daily started and get blessed as quickly as we can.
It's another project that's been blessed from the beginning.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see
right there.
Hey, buddy, eyes up here.
Now you want to get nuts?
Let's get nuts. Here we go.
Victory mine. Ask me how am I doing? I'm telling you, really, I'm doing sublime. I never wait in the stewardess line. I just go do it. I'm moving my time. Really had nothing to do with it. How am I moving? I'm moving like you want to shine. Follow my lead. Don't listen to lies. I had to put me all in the line. That's why I know that victory's mine.
I prefer Jared Leto.
Hunka hunka.
Welcome on to another episode of DCU Daily. Of course, we've got Supergirl talk today. We've got Batman talk today. Lots of quick hits. Some more Superman, Spider-Man crossover chatter. It's going to be a fun one. We've got lots of good stories to get into. We also have a special what did the Zack Snyder say? And we'll get into some of what James Gunn mentioned as well. So with that, with me, of course, as always, I've got John. How are you doing?
What up? Hey, here we go. Mix the flavors. Tastes better. Yeah. Vic deserved it.
Speaking... No, he did. Oh, God, okay. Why you gotta do like that? Let's talk about the DC quick hits, John. Walk us through the quick hits. It looks like Milo wants the Batman smoke.
Yeah,
can you say his name?
Even though he said, I'm not fucking doing anything for Batman anymore. I'm too old. Here he is, fucking throwing his hat into the ring, fucking yet again. Just goes to show that Batman taste just can't leave his lips. So, but Nightwing, fuck no, he's like 45. Like, I think he could work for this version of Batman. He still looks good. So, I think. I
mean, it's like the thing of. At least Henry Cavill knows he might be a little too old to play Bond, but like, dude, you're too old to play Nightwing. Not unless Nightwing was gonna be like a grandpa or something. I don't know. Like, it feels not right. So,
but I would like to see him. I think he would be good. What do you
like? Do you think he can lead? Now. But like as Batman or as Nightwing? Because I feel like Batman probably makes still more sense than Nightwing. No?
Oh yeah, of course.
But like, if it was Batman, I'm like, is he intimidating enough? Like, can he pull off that intimidating figure? That like,
sure. Yeah. Come on.
You're not being entirely convincing there, but okay.
No, I think he could do it. Just as long as there's no crock pots around, he should be fine. If you know, you know.
No, I got it. Okay. All right, let's keep going. More DC quick hits.
Anyway, apparently DC quietly gender swaps a Justice League figure while debuting a new Black Adam variant. Apparently, Black Adam gets a new origin in Absolute Superman number. Why is Black Adam showing up as anyway? So, Teth Adam, all that shit. It seems like Phantom Stranger is going to be a woman in the Absolute Universe, which doesn't make a ton of sense, only because the Phantom Stranger is omnipotent. So you would think they would be control over all multiversal things, because that's what Phantom Stranger kind of is. But at the same, maybe this is like a nerfed version. Maybe it's just the Stranger. Maybe they're not actually Phantom Stranger, or maybe this is just the form they take in this in the Absolute Universe. So whatever it is, I mean, Phantom Stranger is a very interesting character that you could do wonders with. So whatever they do, in fact, do with the character, I'm sure it'll be good.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's anything controversial about this. I don't think I care enough about the character to be like, oh my god, they gender swapped the character. It's like, I wasn't bothered when they did a female penguin.
Although it is funny because it is on April 1st, so who knows if it's like actually true or not. But you know,
that's a good point. Maybe we just got fooled.
But I think it might be. I mean, they have the receipts here, so.
All right. Well, I believe it. Let's keep on keeping on then.
New Batman Looney Tunes Ghost in the Shell titles to be unveiled at Annecy. A Richard Williams tribute is also announced as Annecy reveals first 2026 screening events. So,
nice.
Yeah.
I mean, this is meant to be. So the Annecy is like, this is like a animation movie convention event. So we know, like, was it Gotham? What's that one? The Batman Nightfall. It's like it's a big one. I don't know. Any of these stand out to you? I'm looking for the new anything. Oh, well, this is not DC related, but like Looney Tunes. I want more Looney Tunes. Give me more Looney Tunes any time of day. Are you looking forward to any of these projects?
I mean, if I remember to watch it, maybe I'll catch Batman Nightfall, but we'll see.
All right, cool. Tight.
But this is a Pattinson and Zendaya debating who would win in a fight, Batman or Spider-Man.
They're promoting the movie The Drama, and they've been going on everything and anything.
You know what the answer is, as it always is? Whoever is writing them. If it's a DC writer, it's going to be Batman. If it's a Marvel writer, it's going to be Spider-Man, or it ends in a stalemate. That being said, Spider-Man. I don't give a fuck how much prep time he has. Spider-Man.
I don't know if I agree with you on that, but
yeah, can't just pull out a kryptonite ring. What is he gonna do? Like grab like Uncle Ben's corpse and just weekend at Bernie's him into the fight? Like, Spider-Man ain't got no weaknesses. He's like, bro, I've been broke for a year and a half.
I saw there was this video. I think is it in here? Like they went on this, like, what was it? Was it the Lad Bible or something? They do this like video series where, I mean, they're also on like the late night shows where they're like, you move, like, it's the agree, strongly disagree, like that whole thing, and you move your pint of beer to like whichever side. And like Robert Pattinson sort of was like, strongly disagree because prep time, but like it's like Robert's like, I gotta represent Batman, because obviously Zendaya, partial to Spider-Man because of Tom Holland. Nonsense, says Eric. There you go. That's the clip. Yeah. Are you kidding me? Spider-Man ain't shit compared to Batman, says Caleb. Batman, and it's not even close.
Literally, everyone literally forgets Spider-Man is one of the strongest superheroes in the Marvel universe, but he holds back every time. If like they come up together, Spider-Man pisses him off, he can one-shot him and fucking knock his head off, and then he's done, and then he's headless Batman. Like, that's like, what? And then it's done. It's done. Yeah. Like, it's like, boom, there we go. Oh no, I had a fake head the whole time because I had prep time. Eat a dick. Fuck off. Prep time bullshit. Get out of here.
I mean, I'm just saying, isn't there the chance that actually no, because I'm like, even in the DCEU, they had to really, like, Zack Snyder knew this. He's like, Batman has to have more, pretty much almost all of the kryptonite that the world has to throw at Superman, and even then he didn't weaken him for the entirety of the fight. Like, there was a moment where he's like, oh no, you're not gonna kill me, are you? Because like he made him mad enough that Superman was just crashing him and through walls, and I don't know. It just, you're gonna have, like, storytelling mechanics have to kind of get into it somehow.
Here's what it would realistically be. First off, it depends on the writer. Second, they wouldn't fight because they're two heroes, and Batman's be like, "This is fucking stupid. Why are we fighting?" Real Batman, not Zack Snyder's Batman. Third, Spider-Man wins. Like that's. I'm just saying, in a realistic scenario, in this hypothetical, it's whoever's writing him. It has the winner. If it's DC, Batman. If it's Marvel, Spider-Man. However, realistically, they wouldn't fight because that's fucking stupid. So,
yeah. Although Caleb making a good point, Spider-Man can't even touch him to begin with. Batman doesn't want you near him. You're not near him. So I mean, I guess there's that.
At least I can spell the contraction of "your" correctly.
Shots fired. Shots fired, Caleb. What are you gonna do about that?
Apostrophe E. Never forget the apostrophe E. You don't even have to put the apostrophe. You just put the E at the end. There you go.
All right. Well, we move on because I feel like this could be a long conversation if you keep talking about something like this. It could be a fun debate. We could make this a whole podcast episode onto itself if you really wanted to. But yeah, I think you're right. It's who writes it ultimately that does that. But yeah,
I love how like Caleb is just like whenever he's losing an argument, he's like, "Yeah, well, Shazam sucks." He's like, "Yeah, you know what doesn't suck? You, because you don't get laid." Did I say that? Anyway.
You did say that, yes.
I did say that. Would you say that? Anyway. But yeah, 38 seconds of James Gunn crashing
Did I
your
say
TV shows.
that? Yeah. Yeah, James Gunn likes to make cameos, or has made a lot of cameos in shows recently. I mean, there was the one where Zack Snyder and James Gunn both did a thing, right? What am I forgetting? Am I misremembering that? Where what show was that? Was that Rick and Morty? That was Rick and Morty. Okay, because they were like on the Warner Brothers lot or something. I think it was. Yeah, that was cool.
It's literally just Harley Quinn and Rick and Morty, and then like the opening of Future Commandos, but it's like that right. Barely counts.
Yep. Anyway, good stuff. All right.
I will say he looks weird without the goatee. Like that's what makes it bring it all together. Like should have given him the goatee in the show.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's a small detail, but fair enough. Maybe for next time. All right. Well, John, this next one, I'd love for your take on this. We just kind of go back to just normal DC news for now. It looks like, according to the Hollywood Reporter, with an assist from Absolute Batman, that's right, Batman, and DC, the comic artist superstar rises again. Right here, we got Nick Dragotta, Daniel Warren Johnson, and others are bringing about a popularity and mania not seen since the heyday of Image Comics.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's a general audience sort of thing. I don't really know, but as a comic book fan, I know, like, maybe, to be fair, like, there's a bit more of a recognizability on recognizing, like, comic book writers and artists. Like, we talk about Jorge Jimenez a lot. Like, I could tell you, like, fucking 10 years ago, nobody fucking knew who he was. You have, like, Tom Taylor, for, in terms of, like, known, Tom King. I know, we talk about him endlessly, not in a good way, but we still talk about him. Joshua Williamson, Jeff Lemire, Scott Snyder. We are talking about these guys more and more, and how, like, there is the recognizing us people, like, recognizing, oh yeah, these guys that are writing these comics, Gail Simone is another one, that are aware of all this. So it's very interesting how, like, there is, like, that kind of weird sort of popularity that comes along with, like, now recognizing, and there is, I think, also the pushback of the credit, like the idea of, like, because it's usually who are the people that get the credit? It's usually the writer and the artist, and even then it's pushy, like, whether who gets actual credit for, like, creating a character, but it's like the pencilers, the inkers, the colorists, they never get attached to anything, because it's like, oh, did they bring the idea or did they just pencil it in and all that? But they're also like, let's recognize all the people. So now with, like, people, like, kind of where recognizing art is even more important with the whole idea of AI art. Let's recognize the people that are talented enough to draw these things and draw them very well. And so I think there's a lot of different factors. Again, this is a good editorial video because we would talk about it endlessly,
Mhm.
because there's so many different factors on why the idea of like someone who's just writes the comic books, colors the comic books, inks the comic books, are becoming popular, where it's like, oh wow, well, like, are you, oh my god, are you Scott Snyder? Oh my god, can I get your autograph? Like that kind of thing, you know? And like, I mean, comic book artists have always been at like Comic Cons and stuff like that, but even then it's mostly like comic book nerds. But I feel like even more general audience people would know the names of these guys, because it's just, I think there is that popularity once again, and it's like deserving of credit. And like DC making huge strides with the Absolute Universe, so there's that as well. But I think yeah, there's definitely a whole bunch of reasons why there's the idea of the superstar coming back. So definitely, I think this is an interesting topic.
Yeah, I mean, it's you said it, but it's also like in the article alone, they point out some very interesting things. Like Nick Dakota and Daniel Roy Johnson, they were at a Marriott hotel in Monterey Park, California, not in January, and they spent like just I think it was like a day, like in one day from just taking breaks for lunch and dinner, but like in one day they signed 15,000 comic books, more than 15,000, and even like more than potentially 20,000. Like it's hard to kind of actually not just one day, 4 days over this 4-day weekend, they signed almost 20,000 potentially comic books, and they were like graded comic books and like all kinds of like fans just coming in. It's like it's kind of hard, like for industry that might be like at least perceived to be dying. It's insane to kind of think like these two guys had that much of an audience. And it's like you said, I mean the Absolute Universe is a big part of this. Like the Absolute Batman title absolutely dominated, and right now it's sort of like carrying the comic book medium on its back, almost like the whole Absolute Universe. So yeah, I mean the superstar artist is, it seems like, I mean we're back to that era. It's been a while. So I like to see these anytime you see this kind of a positive news headline. It's good to kind of point out like, look, if you're, because you guys are going to support your local comic book stores, we're kind of like in this renaissance. But also they're writing some great stories, and like you said, there's some great artwork out there as well. Rob Hexfield, okay, I see what you're getting. It's the Rob Feetfield. Wow. Okay. Enterprising asking if Gail Simone was part of the DCU writers room or was one of the consultants. Would you be opposed to that, John?
I'm not a huge fan of Gail Simone's writing, but anybody's better than Tom King, so sure, why not?
Speaking of better, let's talk about what did Snyder say, John? Because he recently posted a different view of the Trinity. Then I feel like this is like a blink and you miss it shot from the movie. Like it's like a little bit of a dolly shot from left to right, and then you quickly cut to the other, to the head, the face on shot. But for just the moment alone, you get to see Wonder Woman booty, and then you get to see the capes, and I guess if you have extra vision, then Superman and Batman booty, and then you go back to see the faces. And so the Trinity, as Zack Snyder calls it. I don't know why he felt the need to share this shot versus the ones where you can actually see their faces, but good stuff, Zack. But you know what, John? Even more important than that, Zack Snyder has found the green, and it's not a Green Lantern thing. These are just photos from his next movie, The Last Photograph. But you know what I noticed in this? The green. There's more green in here than the HBO Lantern trailer, John. There's even a bit of like what looks like a bit of like a ring on the top left there. So
you got a ring light.
Dark as hell, but like
you got a green. It's more than what we got with lanterns.
It's a lot more than what we get. The green grass. I mean, we got green grass. Come on, Zack. Zack Snyder directs the next Green Lantern movie right now. Write it down. James Gunn, sign him on. Anyway, what did Snyder say? What does that say down there? The latest updates from our Lord Savior Snyder himself. There we go. That was your Zack Snyder download for the week. Now we move on to talking more about Supergirl. John, why don't you walk us through? We're still sort of in the aftermath of the trailer, but they did release a new featurette, and so there's a bunch of new
Yes.
footage. Most of it behind the scenes footage. Did you see this for Supergirl? You got James Gunn being
I didn't get a
interviewed in
chance
this,
to
Craig
see it, but
Gillespie.
yeah.
Also Supergirl, you get to see. I mean, they have Jason Momoa being interviewed. I think the big point of this behind the scenes featurette, especially if you put together the pieces, the sound bites, was that they were really pointing out, like, look, people are gonna go into this thinking this is like a side character to Superman. No, they're treating this is Supergirl, and Supergirl is gonna be a main lead character that's gonna be able to exist by herself. They're not introducing a Supergirl that's just a derivative of Superman. They're introducing a Supergirl that's very much its own character. So regardless of where her popularity stands right now, they're hoping that there will be a lot more fans after the movie comes out. I don't know, John, how do you feel about this? Because I feel like that's, to me, the right marketing approach. You don't want to say, oh, did you go watch Superman? Did you enjoy Superman? Then, come and watch Supergirl. Like, I feel like everything so far in the marketing has been Supergirl. And I think they've also sort of, the true justice whatever was in the early posters, but it seems like that's less the thing that they're putting front and center, because that by in and of itself was like because it was a point of comparison. Superman, it felt like it was a derivative tagline, therefore implying that Supergirl is a derivative of Superman. But I feel like they're moving in a different direction. Like the tone of the marketing, the messaging has really changed. Do you feel like they're going in the right direction with that?
Yeah, I think it's kind of been a long time since like the idea that, oh, Supergirl is just female Superman, when that's not the case. Like, oh, She-Hulk is just female Hulk. That's not the case at all. These are interesting, different characters. Maybe at the time, like back when they were introduced in like the 50s, that Supergirl, she was kind of just younger female Superman. That's like, okay, but like she's grown since then. It's she's more than just, oh, girl version of Superman. It's more than that. But it also doesn't help that the show Supergirl was definitely she's just female. It's literally the same like thing of like, oh, she's just female Superman, because they just made like she had the glasses, she worked at a fucking newspaper type, well, it was a magazine, and how she had the same like adorkable personality, and she would be nerdy and dorky and just kind of accepted things on Earth, when I'm like, that's not really the character. She didn't really just accept things on Earth. She was like, I'm not from here. I don't really fit in here. But I still have like a moral good to help people. It's just I'm not like Superman. I'm different, and that's okay. But I think but like that was the thing that really shot Supergirl the show in the foot, was doing that, and because it helped rehabilitate it. Oh, she's just female Superman. That's not the case, and I like how they are going. Even if the movie isn't great, I like how they're going far into such a different direction with this character, because showing what the character really is like.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think it's like you said, it's the way to go, because if you're gonna make her one of the pillars of this new DC, then you can't start from a the standpoint of like, it's it's Superman, but kind of sort of like, and ultimately like that was very much what the Arrowverse version of the character ultimately. I think it didn't start out that way, but they kind of leaned into it, and maybe a little to the detriment of the show. Not to mention, I mean, the iteration of Superman they gave us was very derivative. So it kind of like reversed. I think they reversed the dynamic. We've got a jobber Superman. So yeah, I mean, marketing definitely got some notes enterprising. I agree with you there. I don't think Melissa Benoist would have been a good pick to bring back, considering the version of the character they're going for. Look at this. Look at this right here. Hi. This is Georgie, by the way. Anyway, John, let's keep going. I think James Gunn posted this featurette first and foremost, and The first one does. If this one does well, then chances of a sequel go up drastically. John, let's talk about some more Supergirl glazing, as it were. In fact, the trailer viewership kind of stood at a pretty good number. In just the first 24 hours, it had gained 9.2 million views, which is not bad. I mean, the Superman. Now we're talking exclusively the DC channel on YouTube. So when we talk about like the Spider-Man trailer views, the 718 or whatever it was million views, those were across all platforms. I believe on YouTube alone in the first 24 hours, Spider-Man had like crossed 20 million views in terms of just Marvel Entertainment. But then, they uploaded into like all the different regional versions of the studio channels, like, Marvel in India, Marvel in South Africa, or like in this case, DC in India, Warner Brothers, Australia. But that's not a bad number at all. I mean, I don't know where it's sitting today, but if you were just doing a one-to-one comparison on YouTube, is getting similar buzz compared to Superman, which means that people are showing up to see the trailer. I'm gonna miss you. We're gonna miss you too, Steven. Don't you worry. But you still got us for a little while longer, so don't you worry. Yeah, Chuck Rod, great point. Supergirl does not hold back. When she's in a fight, she ain't gonna pull her punches like Superman does. So, yeah, she's gonna beat you up if you ask for it. Legion of Superheroes is probably a while from now. I don't think we're getting anywhere close to that just yet. But you know what, John? We have some more artwork because fans are inspired by the latest trailers, and Job Hut's doing a great job with the
Job of the Hut.
That's inspired
Job Huts
by the new trailer. Can't beat back the Guardians of the Galaxy comparison allegations because it's Supergirl with a Walkman on, essentially, which was in the trailer, right? I'm if I'm not misremembering. So yeah, very Star-Lord like, but that's about the closest thing we have seen to a direct Guardians of the Galaxy thing where we're like, okay, that does feel kind of reminiscent. Yeah, I've seen that trailer like 6 times now, Anthony. It is a brilliant trailer. Huge step forward from the last one. But hey, you know what, John? Somebody put Lobo and Supergirl together, because of course Lobo is going to be a big part of this movie, and not maybe the runtime, but he's certainly going to leave a big impression on everybody. What I simply wanted to do, though, I was like, it's not the main and the dits from the bar, it's Supergirl and that dits from the bar. Because if you watch the trailer, Lobo kind of agrees. He's like, touche. And then we move on with the fight. I don't know. What do you think is the impact of Lobo after this? Do you think Jason Momoa is going to earn a solo Lobo movie just based on the cameo in this one?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like coming, because I feel like they wanted to like get some insurance. Like, okay, we just need to like, we got Crypto. Crypto's going to make money. Supergirl, if it's good, is going to make money. Millie Alcock is a great actress. Now let's put Lobo in this. Like, let's just give even the people who don't appreciate Supergirl a reason to go see the movie. Just go watch for the Lobo scenes. We're not going to tell you where, but just go watch it for Lobo. No, Steven, this is all part of the DCU. This story with Supergirl all takes place in the same continuity as Superman. It's just more planet hopping than, like, Superman was more based, the story. But you know what, John? I mentioned like there's fans out there who have been just criticizing Supergirl. I mean, and you know what? There's this article here is very interesting. It could be its own editorial, but like, we're just gonna talk about it in more high level. Brainiac 5 and I mean, they did that in the Arrowverse. I'm not really looking for that, honestly. But like maybe down the road, Enterprising. I don't think we're anywhere close to that. They gotta introduce Brainiac first before you bring Brainiac 5 in. Maybe bring Booster Gold in first. But as far as like the criticisms regarding Supergirl, we know Millie Alcock has been she's not done the Rachel Zegler thing, like what she did leading up to Snow White and kind of like trying to jump ahead of the criticisms. She's not done like the the Jenna Ortega, Melissa Barrera thing, or even the Sydney Sweeney thing with what happened last year with the Good Genes campaign and stuff. Like Sydney was like, I'm not trying to get political or anything, but it's like people just force narrative. But it just goes to show you that despite the fact that Millie Alcock has not really done anything to, I guess, like give any cannon fodder to those people who don't appreciate good talent and good, movies when it hits them in the face. There's still people out there who are like SDFU, like, which is just is disappointing. It sucks. I hate the idea of this, that there's still people out there who get, but again, you know, we live in a free world, or at least parts of a free world, and there will always be people out there who will just have this attitude no matter what you do or don't do. So I think Millie Alcock is very aware of that. So I'm really happy that she's like a Gen Zer, so like she knows and she understands how to play the social media game. So I think she's been very clever about it so far. And just the fact that there's still people out there who are like, you know, creating this completely unwarranted backlash from a very loud minority, goes to show you there's no really right way to go about this. Like, and I feel like all things considered, she's handled the stardom and the spotlight pretty well so far. So it gives me hope that we won't have to worry about like a PR shitstorm for any stupid reason going into this movie or coming out of it either. I don't know, John, where do you sit on this?
I sit on the heads of the imbeciles that can't, you know, deconstruct their viewpoints about a movie without just body shaming somebody. So that's nice. But it's just like it's just so easy to be like, you watch the trailer and like, you could have a million reasons why you don't want to see the movie. Like, oh, I don't like the color. I don't like how the story's going. I don't like how it's, you know, Diet Guardians. I'll fucking take, oh, it looks like Diet Guardians, so I don't want to see it. Fine. I don't like how Lobo looks. I don't like that it's adapting Tom King. I don't like this. I don't like that. That's fine. You're like, you know what? I've been scorned by DC in the past. I don't want to see it. Fine. But just if your one reason, if your biggest reason is like, I can't jerk off to her, so it sucks. It's like, all right, like, what are we doing here? Like, all right, go back to fucking OnlyFans and simp for all the bitches you fucking jerk off to. Fine, go and do that.
I mean,
fine, you can't use the Dunacy
on
during the housemaid. Fine, whatever. Just fuck off, man. Like, Jesus Christ.
I mean, there's definitely options, you know, like if you're into that kind of thing, then like you don't need to get that kick from Supergirl, quite frankly. You know, but yeah, I mean, she ain't feeding those hungry trolls like.
Oh. You kind of fucked up, Dan. What were you trying to say? Yeah, we didn't hear you.
I was saying, okay. No, I was saying is like what Chuck Rod was saying. She ain't feeding the hungry trolls, which is good.
Okay.
I mean, that's the way you want to do it. You know, like you don't want to get into. Yeah.
But there are plenty of people that, you know, fucking are excited to see this because after that, I was iffy on that, you know, ending where she's like, later, bitch. Like, I'm like, okay, are we doing Valley Girl Superman? Is that what we're doing now? But now it's like, oh no, we're actually doing something that could potentially be really interesting, and have it be like this tortured character piece, but disguised as a superhero movie. It could be good. Hell, it could suck. It could be the worst thing ever. I don't know. I'm just being like, you know what? The trailer was a little bit better. I'm giving it more of a chance. There's still a lot of problems with it, but you know, I'm still like, you know, I'm gonna see it. Like I'm curious about it. So, you know. Anyway.
No, I agree. I mean, this is a great channel, Screen Brief. I think they're based out of New Zealand, so I often see, you know, the owner of the channel like right there in the photos. He will go to like these other movies. I think there was like a promotional event around the trailer, and he did these like stand-up interviews, and clearly could see there's a lot of people that are excited for, you know, and the way they talk about the reasons why are very legitimate reasons. It's not like they're like, I'm excited to see Crypto, I'm excited to see like what Millie Alcock does, or like, you know, loved her in Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon, and you know, stuff like that. So there's obviously, I'm just saying, like when we talk about all these people that have very shallow reasons for why they don't like what they see so far, there are also a lot of people out there, likely a lot more of them, who are looking forward to the movie for some very legitimate reasons, as they should. And it goes to show you that the marketing is doing a good job of bringing in the fans and raising awareness for the movie, which is exactly what it's meant to do. Yeah, the fact that there are people who are saying it looks better than Superman is wild. Well, I mean, look, it's to each their own, you know. When it comes to movies, it's all subjective. I mean, I personally think it's hard to compare because one, we haven't seen more than the trailers. The other, we saw the whole movie probably several times for most of us. So I'm gonna wait to make that comparison until the movie comes out. Then we can compare, and then we'll be doing that.
Yeah,
in a few
then we
months
can talk
time.
about it. Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Like, once the movie comes out and we can judge it, then we can talk about it. That's crazy. No, Dan, that's fucking insane. No, we have to judge the entire movie based on a 2.5-minute trailer and whether or not I can stroke my wee-wee to Millie Alcock. That's what we have to really judge it on, Dan. That's what we have to really judge it on. Like, that's what it really is
John.
about.
It's about having your priorities in the right places. I get that. Okay. Never mind. Let's talk about Batman. The Batman Part 2.
Yes.
Specifically, John, the Batman Part 2 Production Weekly recently reported that has a working title now. And it may just be hinting at the Court of Owls. If you scroll to the next slide here, it looks like the working title for the movie is going to be Semper Vigilans. Semper Vigilans. I haven't done Latin in a while. So, of course, the movie starts filming, according to Production Weekly, May 29th. And they're going with the working title of Semper Vigilans, which translates into always watchful.
Always vigilant or always ready. It is ready. Also the kind of like how has Semper Fi is, that whole thing. It's kind of a similar thing, but it's the Civil Air Patrol's motto rather than, I believe, Semper Fi. Is that the Marines?
I think it's the Marine.
It's either the Army or the Marines. Hang on. I know somebody.
Yeah, because it's like this. So this means ever watchful, always vigilant. Again, it's like Latin, so there's not.
It is the Marines. I was right. Go me.
Semper Fi.
Frank, don't kill me. Yeah. So we're good.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, John, always watchful or ever vigilant always vigilant, ever watchful. Just any combination of those words, do you think means Matt Reeves is winking at us and maybe, giving us a hint that this might be the Court of Owls that we're going to see in the
I don't think so. I mean, the thing is about Batman is he's always watching. He's vigilant. He's vigilant of Gotham. I don't think I think it's just like it means Batman is watching Gotham now even more so. He's always vigilant. He's always ready. That is the character of Batman. I don't think it has anything to do with Court of Owls. I think it's just like people see this and we're like, vigilant. Owls are vigilant, right? Court of Owls. It's like I think this is a kind of a grasping at straws thing to get like headlines and clickbait rolling in. But I think is it possible that they do Court of Owls? I'm not denying it, but like from what we've seen, it doesn't seem like it, but they could like be building it up. Like how Court of Owls is maybe in the third movie, because I remember somebody I follow was like, oh, maybe the reason that they're casting a highbrow person as Christopher Dent and why they're putting so much like on this, like on Christopher Dent, is like he's going to be a big part of the Court of Owls in like a future movie. So that could be something. I don't know, but like I'm not going to say like, oh yeah, because the fucking working title is Semper Vigilans, and which means always vigilant, that means, oh yeah, it's motherfucking Court of Owls automatically. No, I don't think that's the case. I think we're sticking with a smaller story here. And there was Geeky Eye with his theory that it's like, oh, it's Dark Victory, because I mean there was a lot of Long Halloween influence on the previous movie, so it makes sense to go into Dark Victory, and hopefully that means getting a Robin soon, because Dark Victory does bring in the idea of a younger Robin. So yeah, I think that would be
agree with everything you're saying, like the vigilant, the watchful, all those words you could easily associate with Batman and what his character like stands for, what Bruce Wayne stands for. So yeah, I mean, Patrick Childs saying, I think most of it looks better than Superman are strictly talking about the visuals. Okay, you're talking about Supergirl, right? Well, we'll get to that. Like, I mean, again, when the movie comes out, we'll talk about it. But it doesn't necessarily hint at the Court of Owls. I think still the most obvious Court of Owls reference comes from the first movie, when there's that whole montage, like right before, Alfred takes the blow from that explosive mail that was sent or meant for Bruce Wayne. That whole thing in like the old Wayne property that they go to, I think that's where that was our most obvious hint to a Court of Owls, more so than anything else we have seen since. To your question, Eric, Christopher Dent is meant to be Harvey Dent's father, right?
And she hated his father. No, I'm kidding.
Is there any comic press? I mean, is Christopher Dent associated with the
Christopher
Court of Owls?
Dent is
yeah,
a character that was in the comics, I think. Very small character, I think, with like he pretty much he abused Harvey, which led to him having a split personality. Because I mean, it's changed like with depending on the adaptation, depending on the origin. Sometimes he didn't develop a second personality until like he became Two-Face. Then there was how the animated series did it, where it was like after nearly killing a kid on the playground, he buried all of his violent inhibitions, which then became a second personality, Big Bad Harv. But there's also, I think, a version of the origin story where his father abused him, just like physical abuse and emotional abuse, and that led to eventually kind of a way to protect himself. Like he would become like this other personality to protect Harvey, the real Harvey, against his father. Whatever it is, it could be interesting feeding into that, but clearly they're getting someone very popular for a reason, and it seems like they're going to have a substantial role, which could be intriguing. Maybe not, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, we don't know who's playing him Elite Easy. We've been like Stellan Skarsgård, Daniel Craig, and I think a couple other people turned down the role. I think Liam Neeson was on the short list or something like that.
They're going to reach out to him. There's been no reporting as to whether he has been approached or whether he wants it or not.
Right.
I mean, he's already done the Batman thing with Ra's al Ghul years ago. I don't know if Liam Neeson would want to come back. I mean, it's always possible that he would want to return, but I don't. But that was also almost like hearsay. Yeah, I mean, the fact that we haven't heard who they've cast, either they haven't cast him yet, or they did cast somebody and they went in a different direction. Like, for example, with Hal Jordan, we got Kyle Chandler versus, we were talking about early days, Josh Brolin, Matthew McConaughey. And whether that was true or not, clearly they changed directions with that, so the casting-wise. Although I could have easily seen Josh Brolin, but it feels like Josh Brolin was like, I don't want to do this because if Hal Jordan's only going to be around for like a season, then Josh Brolin was looking for a new show where he could be the lead for a while. But that's sidebar. I don't think short of it is we don't know who's going to play Christopher Dent yet. But the movie starts filming May 29th, according to Production Weekly, which is still, almost 2 months away. So they've got time. And actors usually, there's a lot of situations, especially if it's a smaller supporting role, they don't need to hire the actor or, sign on the dotted line until could be days, if not weeks, before the shoot begins. If Arkham is heavily involved, plus Dent, but it really feels like Two-Face will be the main villain, though I can't say for sure. Enterprising. A lot of thoughts there. I mean, we know Sebastian Stan is most likely playing Two-Face, but we don't know that for sure either. So who knows? Maybe Matt Reeves will do a huge red herring and completely surprise us all. But anyway, let's kind of like wrap it up there for now, John. I think that's all we got for DCU Daily. You guys let us know down below. What do you think? Is that production, titled the working title Batman? What is it again? Semper Vigilans, which roughly translates to always vigilant or ever watchful. Is that a reference to the Court of Owls? We would love to hear from you in the comments down below. And of course, if you have been watching live or after the fact, please do hit the like button. Leave us a comment down below. We like to bring your questions in on the Fridays. We didn't do a Q&A session today because we did a hot take debate, but we usually do a Q&A session on Fridays. So leave us a comment, ask us your questions. I know some of you are really good with that, and we appreciate the interaction. Hit the like button. And of course, if you are new, or even if you have been watching for a while, hit subscribe. The subscriptions really help. It helps the algorithm. We just crossed 100K, waiting for the plaque to come in. We'll go over that when it does arrive. But yeah, and hit the notification bell, because you know what, we're not done yet for the night. It's pretty late, but John, we're getting to Fancast Friday in a moment.
We'll make it a very quick Fancast Friday. We'll be talking very quickly, because I want to get to bed on time, so I'm not
Same.
sleeping through Super Mario Galaxy tomorrow or today.
Exactly.
So.
And yeah, well, and you know, I've got other work things to do. So we'll be casting the Flash director for the DCU. That's what you guys voted for. So until then, keep hope alive and hashtag stay blessed from the beginning.
It's another project that's been blessed from the beginning.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see
Right there.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
Now you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. Here we go.
Victory mine. Ask me how am I doing? I'm telling you, really, I'm doing sublime. I never wait in a stewardess line. I just go do it. I'm moving my time. Really had nothing to do with it. How am I moving? I'm moving like you want to shine. Follow my lead. Don't listen to lies. I had to put me all on the line. That's why I know that victory's mine.
I prefer Jared Leto. Honka honka!
Fuck Tom King, David Ellison, and Jeff Snyder, as always.